Okay, a very good evening, guys. Can you all let me know if you all can hear me and see a screen? Yes, right, perfect. So today what we're going to do is we're going to work on the paper related to unit number 1. Now, I think some of you all would have done the paper, some of you all would have not done. The ones who did, how was the paper? Manageable, shape, okay. Yeah. Okay. So we have 20 MCQs and we have 3 essay questions in the paper. So we'll discuss. So even if you have not done, try your level best, Lamai, to do and come. I know it's not easy because you only have 1 day of a gap between yesterday's class and today's class. But then, even though if you feel that it's very difficult for you to get it done on Wednesday, now you get the printed book early, Nilamai. So you can even do the paper before and keep. So maybe next week's paper, that is unit 2 paper, you don't have to do it on Wednesday. You can maybe do the MCQs or do 1 or 2 essay questions beforehand and keep. That's okay. So then you will be able to get that sorted. So what and in terms of tunes, guys, I just checked with the system now. I'll just share this also if you all want to have a look. So from all the tunes, this is my courier system. From the whole, this is today. But if you look at, I sent a few tunes on the 9th. So from the 9th to today, from all the tunes that I've sent, around 135 has gone. There are 14 that is in the road right now out for delivery. And there is another 36 in transit that is like in the courier office and also. But most of you all, I think around 75% of you all have got your tutes by now. There are still a little bit of people who have not got their tutes. I will check on those also and sort that out. So usually the branches and details are there. And also, guys, you can also track where your tute is. I sent you all the details on the group with your tracking code. A PDF was sent with your tracking code and a link. You can get your tracking code from that, then you can put it in the link and see where your tute is. So, and please make sure that you answer the phone, guys, because if you don't answer the phone, they don't come and deliver the tutes. Okay, so we'll get started with the paper. Once the paper finishes, yes, the 17th MCQ wasn't clear, but the PDF was sent on the group. I'm hoping you figured that out to get it from the PDF. Okay. Yes, the ones who made the payment within the last 2-3 days, Lamai, since the tutes were over, I opened a few more slots. I have printed around another 20 odd books. So most likely this Friday or by next Monday only, I will be getting it from the printer. I will be couriering it for you all then. Okay. So most likely, I'm guessing the ones who just paid, maybe today, tomorrow, you all should be getting your tutes by somewhere around, I'll say Tuesday or Wednesday next week. Expected timeline. And from the 20 slots that is available, there are also, I think, around 10 slots are over. Somehow by this Friday, registrations will be closed. So anyone who is planning to pay and register for month 1, try and do that before this Friday, because I'm not opening registrations after that for month 1. For month 2, we can later see what we can do. Okay. So what I want you all to do is, now, Lama, when we're doing this paper, I want all of you all, when I read out the question, to give me the answer that you put. Now, I know the answers are there at the back of the printed book also. Don't refer to that now. You can refer to that later when you want to check on yourself, but don't refer to it now. So give me the answer that you put. So then based on that, I know how much I need to explain. Because if almost all of you all have got it correct, then I know it's an easy question. I don't have to go much in depth. But if I'm getting different answers from different people, that means I know you all have confused it. Then I will explain in detail. So that is why when I'm reading out the question, send your answer on the chat box. So that one reason is that. And the second reason is that you also know what we are doing and you will not doze off and go into another word. Okay. So we'll start with question number 1 from the unit 1 paper. Starting off with this. Question number 1 is saying, which of the following is social overhead capital? Which of the following is social overhead capital? Which one did you all go with? Number 1 says agricultural lands, factory and buildings, telecommunication network, public roads, and surgery centers. Which one do you think? So, what is social overhead capital? Remember types of capital. We didn't cover this in our theory recap. I told you this is also there in our lesson. No? So if you take types of capital, There are few different types. One of this is what we call social overhead capital. So what is social overhead capital, Lama? Social overhead capital is the capital that helps to satisfy my basic needs. These are the capital goods that are used to, satisfy some basic human need. What is this? Capital goods used to satisfy a basic human need. A basic human need. So what are these basic human needs, Lama? For example, things like education. Yes, this duty is also there in the, this paper is there in the book and it's there in the PDF that I sent also in the groups, right? So what are these basic human needs, Lama? For example, you have education. That's a basic human need. So what are the capital that help with education? For example, schools, libraries will come under social overhead capital. Then you have, for example, healthcare. So health, what comes under health? Maybe things like hospitals, surgery centers, operation theaters. Those will come under health. That is that. Then also you might have things like, for example, sanitation, having a clean environment, right? Sanitation. So things like, for example, these drainage systems. Now just think, where do you think all the water that you use in your house, your tap water, your toilet water, the water that you bathe and all, where does that go? Imagine if there is no drainage system, all of that water is going to be stuck in your house. So all of that also satisfies one another, tries to fulfill a basic human need. So whatever capital goods that help in satisfying a basic human need is what we call social overhead capital. So then according to our answer, we need to go with answer number 5. Then what are the other types of capital? Now, can you all tell me what is economic overhead capital? What is this? What is economic overhead capital? Economic overhead capital. Economic overhead capital, yes, kind of like the infrastructure things, but how do you kind of define this? This is the capital used for what purpose? This is the capital that facilitates what? The capital that facilitates the production and the distribution of goods and services. Capital that facilitates not that facilitates the production and distribution of goods. So what are the capital that facilitate the production and distribution of goods? For example, highways. For example, things like telecommunication networks, airports, then harbors, that is ports, and those can come under social overhead capital. So examples like highways, ports, telecommunication networks, okay, all of that will help with the production and the distribution of goods and services. That is economic overhead capital. I'm not asking you for that. So in this question, Lamai, if you look at answer number 4, this is economic overhead capital. Answer number 3 is economic overhead capital. And what about answer number 1, agricultural land? You can consider that as land, or if you really want, you can even put that under natural capital level. Natural capital. So something there, right? You can either consider it as a natural resource itself, or maybe if it is a little bit man-made, people have plucked the land and done things. That's what you can take this as this. You can take this as even natural capital. No, telecommunication networks, no, not social capital. Social capital is things like these clubs and societies, those kind of things. Okay. Then what about factory and buildings, Lamai? Which will that go under? Factory and buildings, which category? That can go under fixed capital. Okay. So guys, this again is an area I didn't cover much in the theory recap tute, but this is in detail there in your theory tute, right? Your theory tute or in your revision tute, it's there. So remember the types of capital. You have fixed capital, you have circulating capital, you have economic overhead, social overhead, natural capital, you have then something like social capital. Okay, all of those are there. So Podda go through that area. Not a very important area. They haven't tested much things. Yes, there's human capital, right? They haven't tested a lot of things from this, but there can be a question here and there that you can get. It's not a very main area, but you can get like an MCQ sometimes, just like what I have here. Transportation example of a public road. Yes, so transportation, it facilitates the production and distribution of goods. No? So it's more correct into economic overhead capital now, rather than putting it under social overhead. Social overhead is like basic needs, for example, like your health, education, having a clean sanitary environment, you put it there. The roads and ports and all of that, you put it under economic overhead capital. It doesn't go under social overhead. Is that fine? These questions are put mainly a tricky way. That's why the paper is a little hard. But okay, one is 5. The objective is, Lamai, don't worry. Now, at the end, we'll see how much of it you all get correct. Remember, the objective of this whole paper is not to get all correct. No, we don't. Transportation, yes, is a need, but we don't put roads and stuff under social overhead. Okay. Objective of this paper is now at the end of these MCQs, even if you get 0 out of 20, the objective is, Lamai, to learn all the 20 MCQs. That's what you all need to do. I want you all to, now that's why I'm writing on the screen. I'm, telling you all, this is there, this is there. You also should be making notes. You should also pick up on those so that next time a question like this comes, you can do. Now, for someone who gets all 20 out of 20, and even someone who got 0 out of 20, and who learned, now let's say one student, they got 20 out of 20. Perfect. One person got 0 out of 20. Nothing. Even that student who got 0 out of 20. Now, after I do this discussion, if that student learns how to do all these 20 MCQs, both of you all are at the same level, right? Next time a question like this comes, even the person who got 0 out of 20 can do this question. Even the person who got 20 out of 20 can do the question. So don't worry about getting a little bit of a lower mark, because you all will, now since it's still the first paper, Lamai, you all will feel a little bit bad when we go further and further. Right? So the more and more papers we do, every week there is a small paper like this. In the 4th week, there is a big paper. From month 5 onwards, there are full papers. Poddak amaru. Okay, it will be demotivating because sometimes you study so much and come and you might, let's say, only get 50 marks. So the objective is, it's okay. Even if you get a lower mark, that's fine. But you need to learn that. You need to see, all right, this is where I went wrong. This is the learning point. So that next time it comes, you can't repeat the mistake. That's why we do papers now. Otherwise, there is no thing. So have that in. Social capital, social capital is like the capital that improves the human interrelationships. Things like, for example, clubs and societies. In school, you all might have Interact Club, the UN Club, right? These clubs and those clubs, you have Rotary, Road Track. So those clubs, societies, those things are what we call social capital that helps improve social interrelationship. Then human capital, we say, is the knowledge, skills, the experience that the labor has. Circulating capital is like your raw materials, your work in progress, your finished goods. Those are circulating capital. Those are all there, Lama, in your note. You can have a look. Okay. Right. I'll check, Lama. Tutes and all, we'll have a look. Then going into question number 2. But what can we say about this? When an economy produces at a point on the production possibility curve, on the PPC, what can we say? Human capital labor, I think there is a question. I'll come to that. I think in paper 2, there was a question. There are not a number of these things. There are broadly different types. You can refer the kit. Okay. Which one do you all think is? If you're producing on the PPC, So if this is the PPC, you're producing on the PPC. Let's say you're in point A of the PPC. Others? Give me answers now, right or wrong, that's okay. I don't trust me, I don't remember your name. I get around 50 odd answers. Your name goes like it goes up. I just want to see if most of you all are giving the correct answers, that I know what type of explanation I should be giving. No, good. So some resources are used in the economy. Yes. If you're on the PPC, how can you correct that? Can you correct number one for me? Can you say some resources are used in the economy, or how can you correct it? Can you make it a little better if I'm to correct it? You can say all the resources are used, no? Because remember, you're on the PPC, you have full employment. You're using all of your resources. You can correct this by saying not some. You can correct this by saying all resources are being used. So not one. Okay. Number two, feature of a market economy. Is there a feature of a market economy producing on the PPC? It's not connected, right? A command economy can also produce on the PPC, mixed economy can also produce. It's nothing like that. There is nothing called that it's a feature of a market. So not two. Three is saying resources are allocated towards the wants of the society. What is this, Lama? What are they talking about? I didn't teach this to you yesterday, but I will cover it today. But what are they talking about? Resources being allocated to the wants of the society. You're producing what the society wants, and what efficiency is this? This is allocative efficiency. So now just because you're producing on a point on the PPC, can you say there is allocative efficiency? Just because you're producing on the PPC, can you definitely say there is allocative efficiency? You can't definitely say that, right? Remember, for you to have allocative efficiency, the marginal cost, marginal benefit has to get matched, right? We will learn that today, right? I skipped it yesterday. No? I will teach that when I come to a paper 2 question. So you can't say that. Then not number 3. Number 4 indicates increasing opportunity cost. Now on the PPC, for example, you can have on the PPC like this also. In a straight line PPC also you can have on the PPC. So just because you're on the PPC, that doesn't mean it indicates increasing opportunity cost. You can be on the PPC even with decreasing opportunity cost, something like that. Even this is on the PPC. So you can't say just because you're on the PPC, you can't say there is increasing opportunity. That is also wrong. Then you're left with the final answer. What's the final answer? It indicates production efficiency. Remember, what is production efficiency? Production efficiency is where you have both full employment, you're utilizing all your resources, and also there is full production. We have learned, right? Even though I didn't recap this yesterday, I will recap it again. I'll remind it at the end of, I will recap it. But when you have full employment and full production, when you have achieved productive efficiency, we have learned, where do you operate on the PPC? You're operating on the PPC. So whether it's an increasing opportunity cost, whether it's a straight line PPC, that doesn't matter. If you're on the PPC, you can say there is full employment and full production. Also, there is productive efficiency. That is question number 2. Not that hard. Question number 1 would have been a little bit more hard. So now you all can take screenshots also, since there was a request to take a screenshot. You can take, this is question 1. If you all want to get a screenshot. And so you can, in your Qt, you can have, these sticky notes and all that. Sometimes in your Qt, you don't have space. So here I have made some space in my writing pad here for me to write something, but in your paper, you don't have that much of space, right? So maybe have some sticky notes, important stuff, jot down. Make it very colorful, interesting, how you have. And then that's number 2. Now going into 3. Okay. What do you all think about this? Economic overhead capital under, I say capital that facilitates the production and distribution of goods. That's economic overhead capital. Capital that facilitates the production and distribution of goods. Okay, coming into question number 3. What do you think? This is not that hard. Huh? The problem of whom to produce. Problem of whom to produce is what? Is the problem related with opportunity cost of production? Is the problem related to the distribution of absolute income? Is the problem which is related to the allocation of resources? Is the problem which is related to efficiency of production? is the problem of choosing among preference based on age structure. What do you all think? Whom to produce? Remember, there is what to produce, there is how to produce, and there is whom to produce. Most of you have got it right. Some of you have made a few careless mistakes. Come on. Okay, what is number 3? Problem related to allocation of resources. Can you tell me what is that? From the 3 questions, which question is that? Allocation of resources. That is what to produce. No, that is what to produce. Allocation of, how do you allocate your resources? That is what to produce. Then I'll cut off what to produce in what quantities. I'll cut off now. There are a few answers not relevant at all. For example, answer number, now I'll cut off answer number 3. That's not whom to produce. Is the problem of choosing among preference based on age structure. There's nothing like that, right? Whom to produce doesn't mean allocating goods based on age structure. We didn't say something like that, right? Do you allocate goods based on age structure? There's nothing like that. And then again, I'll cut off answer number 1 also. 1 also says, is the problem related with opportunity cost of production? There is no problem like that. There are 3 problems. 1 is what to produce. That is how to allocate your resources. Second is how to produce. That is your production technique problem. Third is whom to produce. That is about how you distribute the output, how the income is distributed. So can't be this also. Then efficiency of production, not directly related, but can you tell me how? Can you tell me this is a little related to what? Problem related to efficiency of production. Which method is more efficient? What is that? Kind of related to which question? Kind of related to how to produce, no? So whether it is labor intensive, whether it is capital intensive, you can see which one is more efficient. Somewhat connected to that. So then which one is our answer? Our answer has to be number 2, no? Is the problem related to the distribution of absolute income? No, not only for a market economy. I'll show you how it works for a command economy also. There was a question coming. Okay. So here, distribution of, remember Lamai, another word for income. We have learned this in unit 5 and 6. What have I told you? The total income of a country is also equal to the total income of the country is also equal to the total. Remember, total income, or you can say total output, no? Remember the letter Y in unit number 6 when we represent, how do we tell this? We say this can be output or it can even be income. Both of it are equal to each other. So you can say yield also if you want. So this is the total output. This is, remember my total income or total output, how it is distributed. Now it's like this, now how can we use this interchangeably? Now let's say in a country there are 3 people. Okay. Person A, person B, and person C. There are 3 people in a country. So let's say person A is a very rich fellow. He is earning, let's say 1 million a month. He is earning 1 million a month. Person B, normal guy, he is earning, let's say 120,000 a month. Person C is a little bit of a poor fellow. He is earning 20,000 a month. So this is what? This is their income. This is their income. Person A is very rich. B is normal middle class guy. C is a very poor fellow, only earning 20,000 a month. So don't you think based on their income only, now let's say this is the total output of the country. Okay, this ball here is the total output. So don't you think who is going to get most of the output of the country now? Which guy? A, the B, the C. Who is going to get most of the output that is there in the country? Person A, right? Person A has a high income of 1 million. When he has 1 million, absolute income is the income that you're getting, your salary. Okay? So he will get, let's say, at least, 75% of this total output he is going to get. He has a high income, he gets a high output share. Then person B, he has 120,000 shape, right? So then maybe he might get, let's say, this much of the output. Then if you take person C, the poorest guy, he gets a very small portion of the output. That's it. So your income determines how much of output you get. People with high amounts of income gets a high amount of output that has been. People with very little income gets a very little output that. Okay. Now that is where that becomes our answer. Market economy consider GDP. Every economy has a GDP. That's question 3. Now we'll get into question 4. This one is not hard. Question 4 is an easy one, even though it might look a little confusing, but I'm more lazy. Can you all give me an answer? When there is economic efficiency, prices of all goods in an economy are equal to what? So when there is economic efficiency, that means there is production efficiency and allocative efficiency. Prices are equal to what, Lama? That's a condition under allocative efficiency, right? There is productive or production efficiency, and there is allocative efficiency. Price is equal to marginal cost, no? So price, or in other words, we can call it the marginal benefit, will equal to what? It will equal to the marginal cost of production. Remember, when you have met that, only you have allocative efficiency. We'll talk about in detail at the end of the class. That's the condition. When price equals marginal cost, you have achieved allocative efficiency. When you achieve allocative efficiency, along with productive efficiency, you can then achieve economic efficiency. So which one is our answer? When there is economic efficiency, prices will equal to not minimum average total cost, not economic cost, not zero. Price will equal to marginal cost. Not a very hard one. Okay. And then minimum average variable cost, no, not that. So price should be equal to marginal cost, or marginal benefit should be equal to marginal cost. That's number 4, coming from the topic allocative efficiency. So right now, if you all also please do this up when you all are doing the paper, any question that is hard, any question that is tricky, highlight that question. Very important. I'm telling you today itself, because Lamai, one day before your exam, or let's say now, your exam is on the 25th of November. What are you going to do on the 23rd of November? 2 days or 1 day before the exam. 2 days or 1 day before the exam, Lamai, you don't have time to go through everything. Now, questions also, now, you all know now, only we started the fast time. And this is one paper. Like this, there will be around 10, 11 papers. There will be around 16 big mock exams. There will be around, 12, 13 past papers that you all will do, big parts. So there is so much. Then the MCQ book has 1,000 MCQs. Then, there is so much of things. So then 1 day before the exam or 2 days before the exam, Lama, you all don't have time to go through everything. So one main study tip for all the other subjects also, when you all are doing questions, the difficult questions, product highlight. That is why even in the tute, in your book that you got, in the first page, you all would have seen, there is a small lines I have left to write the difficult questions. So 1 or 2 days before the exam, you are only going through those numbers. Because you don't have time. Now, for example, if this question is very easy, you don't have to waste time going through this. So difficult questions taken now itself, because you can't do this before the exam. Now itself, little by little, start highlighting whenever you're doing some paper. If you find that question challenging, if that's a question that you think you should be looking at again, product highlighting. Product highlight it then in your tute or anything in the first page. Maybe paste a sticky note or something and learn and paste it and keep it there. Okay. Now have that practice. MB is marginal benefit. To achieve economic efficiency, both allocative and productive. Yes, you have to have both. Okay. Then we go into question 5. Okay, this one is also not hard. Normative statement. Which of the following statements can be considered as normative statements? What do you all think? Crude oil prices in the world has been decreasing. Can you all tell me what is that? Crude oil prices in the world has been decreasing. Is that a subjective thing, or can we prove it and see? That's something that you can prove and see. Ne? It's more like a positive. No, you can see, you can look at what the prices were, and you can see this is a positive state. What about number 2? Question 4 was 4. It is unfair that oil price is increased since it is a necessity. What about that? Some fellow is saying it is unfair if oil prices increase because that's like a subjective one, no, like opinion. No, I'm saying it's unfair. You might say, no, it's fair. Producers are spending so hard to produce oil. It's fair. So that's a normative one. Then what about C? In the future, there should be a decline in the crude oil. I am saying there should be a decline in the crude oil prices in the future. There should be. Again, normative, right? It's like opinion. Normal. Then last one is saying it has been confirmed that increasing crude oil cut the is here. Confirm that increasing crude oil prices have caused cost push inflation. Positive statement, right? It's a fact. Positive. Then which one is our answer? B and C. Now, look. Okay, so far, how did you all do, Lama? Yeah, please, when you all are doing these papers, please don't copy from the back of the book. I know the answers are there, but that's not the objective. You need to see where you actually stand. How did you all do so far? Out of 5? At least 3? At least. Because this is unit number 1, now. Unit number 1 is Namai. That is the unit that you all are product experts of, no? That can't be a unit that you're bad at. Nice. There are a lot of people who've got 5 out of 5 also. Good, that's okay, that's okay. Remember, even if you have got it wrong, even if you have got 0 out of 5, what do you need to do? You need to learn now. You need to see where I went wrong. So that, remember, at the end of this discussion, even the person who got 20 out of 20, even the person who got 0 out of 20, should know how to do this question. Then you all are at the same level. So don't feel bad you get low, but you can't be repeating the mistake again and again. That has to be. And now that's the whole point that we have in our mock exams also. Now, when we start our mock exam series, every week we are doing a paper. Every week there is a 50 MCQ paper, 10 essay questions, just like your A-level paper. Every week there is a paper. So every week your objective is to learn that paper. Learn that paper, see where you went wrong, improve the next paper. So even if you, Lamai, let's say you start with 50 marks, we will be doing around 12, 13 papers. It's a 12 papers in overall mock exams. Every paper, if you improve 3 marks, not much, you start with 50 marks. You see where you went wrong, where you lost marks, you just improve 3 marks. Every paper, if you improve 3 marks, second paper, you add 53. Then you add 56. So you go that way. At the end of 12 papers, you add 86. That's where you end up at. So every paper, you improve little by little. That's the objective. You can't, now if you are already starting at a level of 70, you can all aim for very good grade. But even if you're at 50, if you're always at 50, that's the problem. The target has to be learn. Get low marks, fine. But where did I lose marks? What went wrong? So that has to be there. Okay, where you went wrong. Open your YouTube, Lama. Use the internet. Watch a YouTube video. Go back to one of my past recordings. Ask a friend. Come and ask me. Right? See where you went wrong. Figure that out so that next time you don't get that wrong. Okay, that has to be the plan for all the subjects also, not just econ. Then coming into 6. We'll see now the 5 out of 5 people. We'll see if you can get at the end. Will you get into 10 out of 10? The answers now. My answers are there at the back of the book. If you have the book, I will share the answers also if you missed anything. Okay, at the end. Which of the following accurately explains an output combination shown by a point outside the production possibility boundary? This is a bit of a difficult one. For this, you need a little bit of knowledge from different units. Which of the following accurately explains an output combination shown by a point outside the PPs? Number 1, can you all tell me scarcity of resources? Is that a point outside the PPs? Yes, A. So if this is your PPC, I'll draw a straight line PPC. This is my PPC. So a point outside. Can A be a point outside scarcity? Yes. So A can be your answer. And attainable output combination under the currently available technology. Is that correct? A point outside the PPC, is it a attainable point? Is it an attainable point with the current technology and all of it? No, it's a unattainable point. No, you can't attain. And therefore, this is wrong. It's unattainable. Outside the PPC, now you can't reach that, not B. What about C level? A level of consumption, attainable means you can produce that. A level of consumption that shows the gains from exchange due to international trade. The output combination is this, for example, this amount of this and this amount of this. Can you tell me where is this? Where did we learn something like this and what is the concept relating to this? A level of consumption that can gains of this thing. Remember unit number 9 for those who learn now. We have finished the syllabus now. Others, if you are not learned, don't worry. This is what? Remember, gains of exchange. When you engage in international trade, you can consume at a point outside your PPC. In unit number 9, right? If you have not learned it, ignore for now. You already learn some point, whatever class you all are going to. So in unit 9, remember CPC, consumption possibility curve. We learned something called gains of exchange. I'm gonna go through that. Gains of exchange. Remember? So when you engage in international trade, I have taught you all how we can consume outside the PPC. So a point outside the PPC can represent C as well. It can represent a level of consumption because remember, there can be, for example, a consumption possibility curve like that. This can be a CPC. For those who have not learned, this might be a little Greek now. Don't worry. You all will learn it one. Then what about D? An output combination consumption possibility curve, but yeah. So it's outside your PPC. Consumption, but the point there is outside your PPC. So they're asking which of the following accurately explains an output combination shown by a point outside the PPC. So a point on the CPC is also a point outside the PPC. What about this? An output combination that can be attained after removing economic embargoes. What are economic embargoes? What are economic embargoes now? Economic embargoes are like this trade restrictions, like a sanction. So for example, let's say Sri Lanka is going to war. Now we are going to war all of a sudden, and we are now firing drones and missiles to Maldives and India and all our fellows. So what the world can do is, the world can impose an economic embargo on Sri Lanka. So what is that then? If they impose an economic embargo, that is a trade restriction. So when you put economic embargoes, that is where the world will not import anything from you. They won't export anything to you also. Now imagine if something like that happens. If all of a sudden the world says, look here, you're going and fighting with other fellows, you're bombing these countries, innocent countries, so we are going to impose a trade embargo on you. Then what happens? Within 1 week, Sri Lanka will collapse, no? Because all our oil and petrol and diesel we get from abroad. If they don't send, finish. And then we also send sell stuff abroad. If they don't buy, that is also done. So if you put that thing, then what happens to the PPC when you have a trade embargo? What happens to your PPC? If someone comes and imposes a trade embargo on you, your PPC will shift leftwards, no? So PPC will shift leftwards. Then my question is not that. My question is saying, if you remove an economic embargo, do you think, Lamai, if I remove an economic embargo, that can I reach this point A? Right now, this is my PPC. Let's say that is with a embargo. If this economic embargo is removed, do you think I can reach point A? Tell me, if the economic embargo is removed, what will happen to the PPC? Let's say there was a trade sanction in Sri Lanka. Now they removed it. So if they remove it, don't you think, Lamai, my PPC will now shift to the right? Don't you think my PPC will shift to the right? Don't you then think that point A is attainable? If you remove an embargo, point A can be attainable. So here see, I am saying in part D, an output combination that can be attained after removing economic embargoes. So don't you all think that is also correct? A point outside the PPC can represent an output combination that can be attained after removing an embargo. So point outside the PPC is point A for me. If you remove the embargo, and you can attain point A. So that can also be one of your answers. Then point D, reduced level of unemployment. If your unemployment levels reduce, can you go to point A? No, right? When your unemployment levels reduce, what happens? You move from a point on the PPC towards the PPC. You don't go outside the PPC if you reduce unemployment. So not E. Then F, an output combination with zero opportunity cost. Where is that? An output combination with zero opportunity cost can be a point where? Can be a point inside the PPC. Remember unemployment. When you have unemployment, remember unemployed resources, I told you, there is zero opportunity cost. That can also be a point inside the PPC. So not a point out. So not B, not E, not F. In C, when you remove embargo, doesn't become attainable. Yes. No, in D, it becomes attainable. That's what I'm saying, right? I'm saying an output combination that can be attained after removing economic embargo. I am not asking you what is attainable. Read the question. The question is saying, which of the following accurately explains an output combination shown by a point outside the PPC? For example, now in my PPC, there is a point outside. So which of these explanations align with that? That's what I'm asking. So, okay. You look at my hold on. Right. So if you look, now I'm asking you, now let's say, Lamai, there is this PPC. Try to understand the question. There is a point outside this PPC, point A. So my question is asking, which of the following accurately explains an output combination shown by a point outside? So which of these statements, A, B, C, D, E, explains this correctly? One, scarcity of resource. So a point outside can be scarcity. Correct. That's why I'm saying A is correct. B is saying an attainable point. No, that is not correct. Point A is not an attainable point. No. Therefore, B is wrong. C is saying a level of consumption that shows the gains of exchange. In unit number 9, we learned when there is international trade, when there is gains of exchange, and you can consume at a point outside the PPC. Makes sense. That is why I said C is correct. Then D also I'm saying is correct. Why? An output combination that can be attained after removing embargoes. So right now you can't attain that. But if you remove an economic embargo, under your PPC will shift to the right. Then that can be attained. Point A can be attained. That's why I'm saying D is also right. Then E and F, no. Reduced level of unemployment is not a point outside. Zero opportunity cost is also a point. Yeah, imported goods are not produced. Is that fine? Bit of a difficult one, covering a lot of different things. So therefore, your answer is A, C, and D. How many of you got that correct? Answer number 2 for 6. Now, these kind of questions, Lamai, now you might not know all these. So I will say the easiest thing to do is, the easiest thing to do here is eliminate the wrong ones. Eliminate the most obvious ones. Now you all have letters here. For example, answer number B. That can be easily eliminated. Here's B is saying an attainable output combination. So whatever answer that has B, under Tankala, put it out. So therefore, I will cut off answer number 1 then. Then you all also know reduced level of unemployment. Unemployment reducing, you can't show it by a point outside. So then E also can't be. Then cut off any answer that has E. That's how you narrow down your answers. And then you can get them. means that point. Yeah, so if PPC is not shifting, yeah, PPC is shifting right, but now it's attainable, right? Currently, it's a point outside, but now if the embargo is removed, it's attainable. Makes sense. Think, if you're going to embargo remove, it means that imports and exports are allowed. Yes. Then PPC shifts right. Shape, any questions still confusing? Bit of a difficult one. That's question 6. How can imports shift the PPC to the right? Maybe just go back to unit number 9 if you have not learned it. The creation of this consumption possibility curve, gains of exchange, how when you exchange, you don't, the PPC doesn't shift to the right, it's a formation of something called a consumption possibility curve. We learned that in unit 9. Right, coming to 7. What about this? Again, bit of tricky. The graph below shows the output combination of an economy changes along a product. How the output combination of an economy changes along a production possibility fronting. What's the reason for the output combination to change from point A to point B? What do you all think? Right now we are at, let's say, point A. Now we are going to point B. Expansion of aggregate demand in the economy, destruction of capital resources, investment withdrawals from foreign investors, decrease of net exports, decrease in the demand for exports due to economic imbalance. Easiest I will say, Lama, is to eliminate the wrong ones. You can get one. Others, what do you all think? So far, most answers I have are correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Even if you've not done the paper, now try and do it. Do it with me. So your answer is, most of you, I think, got it correct. So I'm not going into very detailed explanations there. Your answer is number 1. Expansion of aggregate demand. Now, how does aggregate demand connect to the PPC now? Can you tell me if the aggregate demand in the economy increases, what happens? This is the opposite of a recession, right? What happens to production? Now, if people are willing to spend more and more, firms will now produce more and more, right? Production increases. So when production increases now, what happens to unemployment? What happens to unemployment? People who didn't have jobs now, they are also getting jobs. Machines that were just idle, now they are also being used. So unemployment starts to decrease. So how do you show this unemployment decreasing on a PPC? How do you show unemployment decreasing on a PPC? You move towards full employment, right? You, from a point inside the PPC, you move towards the PPC. And that can be your answer. So that's why it's number 1. Then destruction of capital resources, PPC will shift where there was a war and capital buildings and all of it got destroyed. PPC will shift leftwards, or it will shift inwards. Investment withdrawals, same. PPC shifts inwards. This decrease on net imports. Not a big connection with PPC, I would say. Right? Your imports have come down. Connecting to PPC, not very relevant. So you can even, kind of ignore that. Not relevant to PPC. Last one, decrease in the demand for exports due to embargoes. Embargo, export demand came down. PPC can again shift inwards. Embargo can shift it. So that's how 1 becomes the answer. Okay. Then going into question 8. What do you all think? What would be the reason to argue that a social market economic system is better than a capitalist market economy? Now, what is social market? We learn. What is a capitalist? We learn case study. So what is a social market? I told you a social market is very similar to a market economy, but the government will intervene. Government will intervene to promote social justice. No, government will intervene to promote social justice. So if there is anything unfair, if there are really poor people, if there are disabled people, and to help them to, let's say, get the social human rights, making sure those are not violated, and to do all of that, government intervenes. So that's why this one is a better one. So which one is our answer then? reason to argue that social market economic system is better, the more correct answer is now my number 2. Because in a social market economy, what will we have? There will be a broad social safety network. What are these social safety networks? Now in Sri Lanka, what are the examples of social safety networks? There is one, there is pensions. So pensions are a social safety network. No? It's a social safety, you can even say net. There is Aswasumu. So these are for what? For the vulnerable people. Now, pensions are for the fellows who are retired, Lama. Retired people, no money. How are they going to get that? These are always transfers under pensions. Then there are some people who are in poverty, who are really, really poor. And for them, Aswasu. Yes, EPF, ETF, all of those can come under this Lama. So that's the difference in a social market economy. So in a social market economy, the government will come and implement broad social safety networks. They will make sure that, remember, to promote social justice, somehow they will make sure the poor people are helped, the retired people are helped, the disabled are helped. Those vulnerable parties, they will help out. Then how are the other answers wrong? Promote economic freedom? Not really, right? Even I will say in a market economy, there is more freedom. Because in a market economy, no government, no free competition, you can do whatever you want. We are trying to find the answer why social market is better. Maximum efficiency of resources? I don't think just because you have a social market, you can't say maximum efficiency. Maybe market economy could be even better. Maximizing economic stability? Not really right now. Economic stability means price stability, unemployment levels are stable, exchange rate is stable. In a social market economy, like government doesn't intervene to make sure stability. Government intervenes to ensure social protection. So not this. Then non-existence of economic disparity. This economic disparity means income inequality. So can you say that in a social market economy, there is no income inequality? No. This could be more correct for which type of economy? Rather than saying non-existent or maybe very reduced levels of economic disparity. In what type of an economy? Where will you have very low levels of economic disparity? Maybe in like a planned or a command economy, where the government runs the show. There also you can't say non-existence, you can say reduced. Reduced levels of economic disparity. More correct to say it over there. So 8 is number 2. Moving to 9. Disparity can be inequality, economic disparity. Okay. Moving to 9. Right, this one is an easy one. You can use your common sense and give me an answer. Give me an answer. If the cost of a mobile phone falls by a large amount, you have an incentive to what? This is the incentive function of price. You have an incentive to take a shorter version or maybe a lower version, buy a new mobile phone, use father's mobile phone rather than buying a new mobile phone, avoid buying a new mobile phone because it is less valuable, wait until the cost rises to buy a new mobile phone. Would that use your common sense? I mean, you don't need econ for this. Which one? If the price of a phone falls, as a consumer, consumers are incentivized or motivated to do what? If the price falls, they are incentivized to buy more. No? So answer is number 2. If the price of mobile phone falls, you have an incentive to do what? Buy a new mobile. 9 is 2. That's not a hard one. Very easy one. Then going into question 10. Again, not hard. When China builds the roads using few machines and a great deal of labor, so they're using less machines, more labor. Okay. It is answering the blank question. What question? How to produce, what to produce, when to produce, whom to produce, where to produce. They're using few machines and great labor. Now, can you tell me which intensive is this? Less machines and more labor. Capital intensive, the labor intensive. Less machines, more labor. That's labor intensive, right? They're using a great deal of labor and less machines. That's labor intensive production technique. So this is what level? This is the how to produce question. So 10 is number. Right. See how did you all do so far out of 10? Anyone still standing on 10 out of 10? 10 out of 10. If you have not copied that, please don't copy from the back. No, there are few people still remaining at 10 out of 10. We'll see if you'll end up with 20 out of 20. At least I would say 6 is a good mark. Because this is unit number 111, unit number 1 is a unit that you all should kind of be knowing. You have learned it so many times. At least 6, I would say you're somewhere okay. Lower than 6, it's okay, but let's work a little harder. Then coming into question 11. Question 11 is saying, if an economy moves from producing 10 units of C, okay, and 4 units of D, so let's say there is an economy, they are producing C. Let's say C is cars. And D, let's say D is doors. They were producing 10 units of C and 4 units of D. They are moved to produce 7 units of C and 5 units of D. They're asking you, what is the opportunity cost of the fifth D? So to produce the fifth, let's say dough, what is your opportunity cost? What did they sacrifice? When they were producing 4 doors, they were able to produce, let's say 10 cars, 10 Cs. Now, when they are producing 5 doors, they can only produce 7. That means what did they have to sacrifice now? They have to sacrifice this, no? Earlier 10, now only 7. They had to sacrifice 3 Cs. That is your, it's not a hard one, a very simple one. It's just, it looks like a hard one. If you read the question clearly, maybe if you put it like how I have put it, you can easily figure out where you exactly are. Is that okay? Question number 11. Then coming into 12. Okay, this one I took it from a past paper, but I made a change. Now, when you are doing past papers tomorrow, you always see this question, but it's not the same as the past paper. Now, this question, listen very carefully. This is coming from opportunity cost. They're saying the diagram shows the production possibility curve before and after a technological advancement affecting the production of good X. So earlier, this was the PPC, the one in gold. Now the PPC is the blue one. So before and after a technological advancement. Which of the following distances represent the new opportunity cost and the reduction in the opportunity cost of producing OQ? Now, tell me, when you are producing OQ, okay, when you are producing OQ, so let's say OQ is 100 units of capital good X. So when you were producing 100 units of good X, what was the opportunity cost before Naman? When you produce 100 of good X, can you tell me how much of good Y did I sacrifice before? Opportunity cost before the technological advancement. What's my opportunity cost? Because I produced 100 of good X, we went through this yesterday. How much of good Y can't I produce? I can't produce JN. No, I can't produce this much of good Y. When I am producing 100 good X, this much of good Y I can't produce because I can only produce this much of Y. This amount of good Y I had to sacrifice. So opportunity cost before is JN. Can you all tell me, after the technological advancement, now what is the opportunity cost? Opportunity cost, or I'll say after. After. Now what's the opportunity cost? Earlier it was JN. Now it is. Now when you're producing 100 good X, now after that you can produce M number of good Y. How much of Y can't you produce? You can't produce this small, no? JM level of Y you can't produce. That is your opportunity cost after JM. Then what is the reduction in opportunity cost? Earlier opportunity cost is JN. Now only JM. So opportunity cost has reduced by this mn distance. This distance it has reduced, no? Because earlier your opportunity cost is this entire thing, the blue one. Now it's that small maroon one, that green shaded area. It has what? Has got reduced. So reduction in opportunity cost is M. That's how you read this graph now. The thing is not memorizing the answer anyway, how to read this coming from opportunity cost. So then we'll see what have they asked us. The question is asking the new opportunity cost. What is the new opportunity cost? That is opportunity cost after JM and the reduction in the opportunity cost. Reduction is MN respectively. That means it has to be in order also. JM, MN. Which one is in order? Number one. How many of you all got that correct? You got that correct? You're somewhat good. You're at a good level. Can logically, not a khana shot correct. With some logic, if you have got that correct. Good. So maybe put a small highlight that question and keep. It's a good question to study like. And tomorrow, please do the MCQs. Huh? Do the MCQs and then can you let me know how much do you all get from the total MCQs? I don't know how many MCQs are there. Okay. Once you'll do all the MCQs, just let me know. Out of, I think there should be roughly, let's say 5 MCQs, 2011 to 22, 12 papers, roughly around 60 MCQs. 60 MCQs can it take you around 2 hours to do. So you do, see where you went wrong, learn from it, soon move to the next. You can do this at a stretch now. When you're doing the MCQs now, don't 55. You don't have to take a break and do one hand. Maybe tomorrow, wake up early morning at around 4 o'clock. You wake up around 4 o'clock. By around 7 o'clock in the morning, you can finish everything. If you're not going to school. Completed today, nice. 71 MCQs. Someone says 55. Right. Just to summarize this again, Namai, this is asking what's happening to opportunity cost. You need to know how to read the graph. So opportunity cost earlier, when you produce OQ, earlier the opportunity cost is JN. You can't produce JN amounts of goodwill. Now your opportunity cost is only JM after the advance. So they're asking what is the opportunity cost now? That is JM and the reduction in the opportunity cost. That is this distance, MN distance. Take some time, go to, there is also a past paper question. You can watch the YouTube video relating to that. Then going into 13. Assume that, again the easy one, assume that land can be used either for producing corn or producing beef. Maybe they are having some cows. The opportunity cost of converting an acre from producing corn to raising cattle for beef. So let's say there is a land, Lamai. Let's say this land is 4 acres. Okay. Let's say this is 1 acre, 1 acre, 1 acre, 4 acres. So let's say they are asking you the opportunity cost of converting an acre from producing corn to raising beef. So let's say Lamai, all of these were producing corn. Okay, all of these 4 acres producing corn. Now one of this, they have removed it and now they are putting some cows here. Okay, now these are cows. Okay, to raise cattle. So they're asking what is the opportunity cost? Can you all tell? The opportunity cost of converting an acre from producing corn to raising cattle for beef is equal to which of the following? The amount of beef produced. Now, what opportunity cost is what you are sacrificing, no? So from my 4 acre land, 1 acre, if I remove corn and put some cows there to make beef, what am I sacrificing? I'm sacrificing corn, no? So you can't say the opportunity cost is beef. Opportunity cost is what you are sacrificing. The profits earned by extra beef, no. The amount by which corn production decreases, yes. That's opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is what you are sacrificing. You had a 4 acre land, let's say. 1 acre you converted to, earlier you were having corn. Now 1 acre you converted to have some cattle and make some beef. Then what's your opportunity cost? Opportunity cost is whatever corn production that you sacrifice. Then the market value of extra beef, market value of extra corn. So better answer is number 3. That's the P. Okay, 13.3. Then okay, 14 is an easy one. Give me an answer. On a diagram of a production possibility curve, opportunity cost is represented by what? Opportunity cost is represented by why not 5? Not the market value of corn. Opportunity cost, remember we say it's not a purely financial concept. If you all have missed the question, you can just drop a text to everyone. If you missed the answer, yeah. It's the recording of this also. Paid students, it will be there on your website. Others also, since it's the last, not last free class, it's a free class, I'll most likely upload on YouTube as well. Okay. Easy one. Which one? Quickly. Answer number 1. No? The slope of the PPC is what represents opportunity cost. So if you have a straight line slope, a constant slope like this, we say constant opportunity cost. If you have a concave slope like this, then you say increasing opportunity cost. If you have a convex slope like this, then we say there is decreasing opportunity. So it's the slope of the PPC that represents one other. That represents opportunity cost. Yes, can someone send a picture of the answers? I think some of you all sometimes connection issues in the you all miss the answers. Someone who has the book, can you all if you have the book, can you tell me the page number where all of these answers are there? Yes, opportunity cost can include monetary, but it's not a purely monetary cost. In which page are these answers there? At the end button, the answers are there. 150 pages, somewhere around 110th page, 105. So page 15. Page 105, the answers of these MCQs are there. Can someone send a picture of this also on the group? Especially for the free class group, free class people also, they don't have the printed tutor in the PDF, they don't have the answers. In the big book, the answers are there. Can you all send one on the free class group? Is the free class group, can't you all text in that? Wait, I think I should have, I have a picture, I'll send them back. Let me quickly send one. No, slope means the slope of the curve. Remember in maths we learn slope is this. It's the slope. I have the answers. I'll share the answers. For the ones who don't have the tube, let me send it on all the groups that I sent the link for. Okay, forwarded the MCQ answers also. In case you miss a question, you can refer it. Then coming into question 15. Okay, this also is something we discussed in our theory class, but not in here. Which the following is necessary for a well-functioning capitalist economy? What's a capitalist economy, where the private sector owns all the resources, but not in a command economy. What do you all think? Which of this is essential for the functioning of a capitalist economy, but not a command economy? It's not very essential for a command economy, but for a capitalist economy, it's very essential. Which one? That is, answer is, you have centralized decision-making, scarcity of resources, monopolies, protection of property rights, positive externalities. No, not ray through the origin. Ray through the origin is like a middle line from the middle. Number 4, right? Now, what is this property rights, Laman? What are property rights? What is property rights, Laman? Property rights are the right that you have to do anything with your property. You can sell it, you can modify it, you can break it down if you want. Right? So for example, your house. Okay, can you tell me, who gives this property rights? How can you prove that this house that you are living is your house? What is the document that establishes that property right? You have what? Now, for example, if you take a house, there is something called a house deed. No? So what does that house deed have? The house deed has the owner of the name, everything is there. So then tomorrow, if I come and say, look here, this is my house, you can show me the deed. You can show, look here, no, this is my house. And you can do whatever you want. If you can plant trees if you want, you can build your wall if you want, you can put upstairs if you want. No one can come and say, why are you doing this? How can you do this? Because that is your property. You have the right to do whatever you want. That's property rights. Then why is that essential in a capitalist economy and not very essential in a command economy? Now, these property rights, now who gives you this house deed? Now, if it's a business registration document, who gives you this? Who gives you all of this? A house deed, a business registration document. It's the government. No? It's the government who comes and provides this. So now in a capitalist economy, there is no government. In a capitalist economy, it's a pure capitalist economy where the private sector is owning all the resources and they are running the show. So just think, in Sri Lanka, let's say there is no government. There was nothing called a government, only just private sector. So then who is going to establish that property rights? Who is going to give you some house deed or some document to prove that this is your house? Who is going to give you something saying this business is yours? This is there in unit 1. This is there in the unit 1 theory tute. And also there is a past paper essay question on this. What's the YouTube video? So when you are doing past, I showed you how to find the YouTube video on the first class. Again, if you miss the first class, I know the first class, I didn't teach anything, but there are so much of valuable tips where to find, what to do things. Like make sure that you all were there, right? But if you're not there, at least watch that recording of the first class, the 2-hour planning session, because a lot of shortcuts, a lot of things you can quickly find. So there I told you how to do past papers, where to find the answer for the past paper, right? The explanation of that is there on YouTube. Can do all of that. So there is one on property rights. If you're not sure on that area, hi balan. So because if there is no property rights, there will not be any production. Now, for example, let's say I have my own institute called iTutor and I'm, let's say, owning it. There are people running the thing differently, but okay, let's say that is there. Now, let's say tomorrow one of you all come and say, look, here's iTutor is mine. You all also, let's say, I've started classes. You all have started using my logo and you all also saying iTutor and you're doing some classes. Now, if I have a property right, then I can say, look here, this is my one. You can't use it. This is my property. This is my business. But if there is no property rights, and if there is no property rights, then how can you prove it? Now, I worked so hard and let's say I built an institute and tomorrow you come and take that from me. So if there is no property rights, there will not be production. If there is no production, there can't be exchange. The economy will not function. So that's why you need to be aware. The property rights YouTube video, I don't know which video it is. When you're doing the past paper questions, you will find the past paper question that has about property rights. Then go back to the video and watch. You can find the video. Android always come under open property, not very sure. I don't think, no, I think there should be a property right to someone. Android should have the listen, anyone can't copy like that. Okay, okay, that's 15. So how do you all do so far out of 15? Positive externalities, unit number 8 again. If you have not learned unit number 8, once you get there, you will learn. How much out of 15? Anyone? 15 out of 15? Yeah. No one 15. Okay, there is no one on 15. No? That means there will be, okay, there is one person on 15. Anyone else? So there is one person on 15. Others, how much out of 15? You can check in case you missed a question. You can check the answers I sent on the group also. Okay, we'll see who ends the highest at the end. Okay, there's a 19. 19 out of 15. Okay, that's the total. Right, we'll go into question 16. The main function of prices in a market economy is to, we'll try to finish this in 10 minutes so that we can take a break and get back to paper 2. There are some interesting questions there also. What can you tell me? Main functions of prices in a market economy, there are 3 functions. What are the 3 functions? One is the signaling or the informative function. The other is the incentive function. And you have the rationing or the allocative function. So see, any of this which is talking about any of these 5, any of the 5 answers talking about any of the 3 functions. Generate more profits for entrepreneurs? No, that's not a function. Guide households choose investment opportunities? No. Ration limited resources? Yes. Remember rationing function? And ration limited resources or allocate limited resources. Remember I told you yesterday I explained I have printed only, let's say 150 fast track books. Let's say 170 people want to join. What can I do? And I can increase my price. I can ration my limited 150 books to 170 people by increasing the price. Then some of you all will fall off. Now, then determine elasticity of products. No, that is not a function of price. Improve distribution of income. No. So anything that goes in line with signaling, incentive, and rationing can be your answer. So in this, they talk about rationing. Therefore, 16 is number 3. Going into 17. Looks a little hard, but not hard. Question 17 is saying, the diagram below shows the PPC of an economy. The opportunity cost of moving from point A to point B. So right now you're at point A, you're moving to point B. What do you think is the opportunity cost? 20 units of cloth, 0, 10 units of food, half a unit of cloth per unit of food. There will not be a question with both, since then both are correct answers. 30 units of cloth and 20 units of food. What is opportunity cost number? Opportunity cost is what you are sacrificing. So when you're going from A to B, are you sacrificing anything? You're increasing cloth production by 20. You're increasing food production also by 10. Are you sacrificing anything? So there is no opportunity cost. 0. Remember, one situation where opportunity cost can be 0 is when there is what? When there is unemployed resources. Remember, you're on a point inside the PPC. A point inside the PPC represents unemployed resources. So from when you're going from point A to B, are you giving up on anything? If I think there would have been a little bit of a printing thing on 17, but the PDF was there on the group. You could have figured that out. Okay, so you're moving from point A to B here. There is no opportunity cost. Your opportunity cost is 0. So you can just draw the diagram now. I think all the tubes that were printed had that problem. I don't know why that was the case. Just complete the diagram. Maybe you can even take a screenshot of it and just on with a pen, no pencil, just complete the diagram. It's not printed properly in your tube. The PDF is also there. You can refer to the PDF that I sent. Then coming into question 18. This I've taken from a past paper because it's an interesting one on how they have worded the question. Listen to this very carefully. One of the difference between a free market economy, okay, a free market economy and a centrally planned economy is that in the form. Diagram is there in the PDF I sent. One of the differences between a free market economy and a central planned economy is that in the former, this former word is important. Some of you all, 17 guys, there is no big explanation. Opportunity cost is what you are giving up. So when you're going from point A to point B, you're not giving up anything. No? You're increasing cloth production also, you're increasing food production also. There is no opportunity cost. That's why it's 0. Okay. Which one? Some resources are privately owned and some resources are state-owned. Yes, can you quickly give me your answer? Which one do you all go with? 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 says resources are only scarce in a free market economy. All resources are privately owned and allocated by market forces. Most resources are used to produce capital goods. Resources are allocated by market forces and therefore no longer scarce. They're asking you a difference between a market economy and a planned economy. A big mistake that most of you all do is you all will go with answer number 1. Answer number 1 is wrong. Why? Can you see how they have worded the question? That's why I took this from a past paper and put it in. They're saying one difference between a free market economy and a centrally planned economy is that in the former now you have no English now. So central plan, what is the former one? Former one is the before one. That is in this. In a free market economy, there is what? Now, can you say that in the former some resources are privately owned and some resources are state-owned? So can you say that in a free market economy, that is the former one, some resources are privately owned and some resources state-owned? No, that is a mixed economy. So not one. Your answer is Lamai. So it's not 1. Your answer is number 3. This is your answer. One difference between a free market and a centrally planned economy is that in the former, in the sentence, the before one, in the former, all resources are privately owned and allocated by market forces. So maybe if they wanted to talk about centrally planned, they'll say in the latter. In the latter, then answer could have been all resources are publicly owned and allocated by planning mechanism. So be very careful with how they have worded the question. Now, some of you all would have read the first part of the question and not read this part. If you don't read the second line, you will see one difference between free market and central plan are some real privately owned, some real state owned. Then one could be the answer. But you can see how they have worded this. They have said a difference between this and this, but in the form. That means in the sentence. So in the sentence, I mean, I remember this is your English knowledge, not your one knowledge. In the former means in the previous one. So there are two types. Okay. Okay. So let's say, for example, I write a sentence saying, Saman and Kasun went out to eat. They went out to eat. The former ate a kottu, while the other ate a fried rice. So who ate the kottu? Saman and Kasun went out to eat. The former ate a kottu and the other ate a fried rice. So who ate the kottu? Who is the former? In this sentence, this is English, this is not econ. Who ate the kottu? In the sentence, who is the former guy? Who is the previous guy? Kasun. Kasun is the fellow who ate the kottu, and the other guy is the one who is. That's the same thing they have put in this question. This is from a past paper. I took this because it's a good tricky one. So they're saying one difference between a free market economy and a central planned economy is that in the form. Former means in a market economy, there is what? In a market economy, all resources are privately owned and allocated by market forces. That's why it's number 3 and not 1. Okay, last 2. In a planned economy, the question for whom to produce is determined primarily by what? Whom to produce? Last 2 questions. Give me an answer, everyone. The sale of resources for income payments in competitive markets, the distribution of production to members of the community based on social customs, government distributing goods and services to low-income earners, government centrally setting prices and wages as a part of an economic plan, the bargaining process between employers and employees. How does a centrally planned economy determine whom to produce? In a central planned economy, Lama, you have the who? You have the central planning authority. Central planning authority, I told you all yesterday, they will try to allocate resources equally. So how do you allocate resources equally? How do you allocate, okay, for example, how do you distribute your goods equally? Now, let's say there is a planned economy. Let's say, there is a planned economy. They have produced 100 loaves of bread. 100 loaves of bread. Now, how are they going to allocate this 100 loaves of bread equally? Can they go from house to house and give everyone 1 loaf? Can they tell everyone, come stand in a queue, you will get 1 loaf? A country can't work like that. So how are they going to make sure everyone gets an equal share of bread? What does the central planning authority do? How do they maintain equality? Now, you all know in a central plan authority, we talk about equal distribution. But how equal? Does equal mean the government goes from house to house and give everyone your loaf of bread, your kilo of rice, your milk powder, then goes in the next house and give the same thing? How do they make sure there is equal? They make sure there is equality. How do they make sure there is equal? They make sure, number 1, prices are fair. And then they make sure that everyone gets an equal wage. So if there are rich people, they charge huge amounts of taxes from them. Poor people, they provide transfers. Poor people, they provide education and training. So they somehow try to make sure everyone is earning an equal wage and the prices are fair. That if, let's say, everyone in this country, let's say this country is this class. So everyone in this class, all 100 of us in this class right now, if all of us are earning 50,000 a month, that means all of us have the ability to buy an equal share of bread, no? Now, if one person is earning 1 million and one person is earning 10,000, then the 1 million fellow might buy more bread. But if the central planning authority, if they set the prices at a fair level, bread at a reasonable level, also make sure everyone is getting a fair, equal, nice wage, then everyone will have an equal share of the bread that is produced. That is how a central planning authority distributes goods equally, by setting the wages and making sure the prices are fair. So your answer there is Lamai, number 4. Okay. Number 2 is what, Lamai? Distribution of production to members of the community based on social customs. What economy is this? We don't cover it in our main tute, but maybe you all would have learned this in school and stuff. What economy? Based on social customs and all. That is a traditional economy, Lamai. Traditional economy is like this Vedas. Traditional economy. In Sri Lanka, like the Vedas. Now, in the Vedas and all, their tradition is how they divide based on their customs. Maybe the grandfather is the one who gets most of the output. The small kids maybe no, maybe they have discrimination against male and female. That's them. Third one also will count because low income they'll get pensions. Government distributing goods and said low income earners. But that's not how you primarily determine. So government, they're asking you the question of whom to produce is determined primarily by. So how do they determine it mainly? Yes, maybe they support the low income earners, but that's not how they mainly determine. Mainly the whom to produce question is answered by the government or the central planning authority setting prices and wages as a part of the economic plan. They make sure the prices are fair and wages are equal, and that's how they make sure there is equality. Fifth answer, bargaining process between employers and employees. Again, not relevant, right? They're talking about employers and employees bargaining, and that's how the goods are distributed. Not clear. Okay. So 19 is 4. Then 20, last one. Not that hard. Give me an answer. Assume an economy producing private goods and public goods. When the economy is operating on its production possibility frontier, and increase in the production of public goods. Easy one. So they are producing private goods and public goods. They are producing on the PPC, and there is an increase in the production of public goods. So you're, let's say, moving from point A to point B. They're asking what will happen. Have no effect on the supply of private goods. No. Private goods, earlier you were, let's say, producing 100. Now you can only produce, let's say, 80. So no effect, no. Increase the opportunity cost of producing private goods. No, the more and more you produce, the opportunity cost of producing public goods will only increase. Increase the total output because private goods are unrivaled. Mean a reduction in the production of private goods. Correct. You're on the PPC, you're producing more public goods means there will be a reduction in the production of private goods. So fourth one can be our answer. Shift the production possibility curve to the left. So fourth is 20 is 4. Can you check the answers? Also, I will let me share the answer scheme. I shared it on the group also, but in case anyone is not on the group, and we'll put it in page number 105. Page number. Let's see if you missed any answer. Any questions, I'll come to it at the end of the class. Okay. If you missed any questions, you can just get the answer from me. Was there any answer that was wrong? There can be things like that. Sometimes I type the answer wrong mistakenly in the answer scheme. Was there anything that I explained one thing, but in the thing, the answer was wrong? There is anything like that also, let me know. Because sometimes from the last year when I take the question, I change the question, I forget to change the answer at the back from the previous batches. So then it goes wrong. Sometimes, I switch question 1 and 2, then if it gets jumbled, that happens. If you produce more public goods, then we have the opportunity cost. Yes, so if you produce more public goods, the opportunity cost of producing public goods will increase. If you produce more and more of one good, the opportunity cost of producing that good no increase. The opportunity cost of producing public goods, yes, is private goods. Okay, right. We'll come back to this. Okay. How did you all do? Okay, so if you all got 20 out of 20, can you say 20 on the chat box? I'll go one by one because otherwise I get 100 messages, very hard to cooperate. We'll go one by one. If you got 20 out of 20, say 20 on the chat. Don't say me or hi or anything, just say 20 on the chat. You can send it only to me. Anyone? No one? 15 is number 5, but in the scheme it says 15. No, 15 is 4, not 5. 50? No. So 20, no one. But 19 out of 20, can we say 19 on the chat box? 19, okay, there is 1, there is 2. Anyone else? 19. Okay, there are 3. That's 19 out of 20. Because I'm hoping you all have not copied the boxes. Okay, there are 3. 18 out of 20. Say 18 on the chat box. Don't say anything, just say 18. 1, 2, 3. 18, there are 3. 17, say 17 on the chat box. 17, there is a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 16. And say 16 on the chat box. I'm just trying to get you the marks to see how other people have done, right? So you also know that there are people who are actually doing well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There is a 19. The person who said 19 here, was it a 19 that you didn't say before? 15. That's the last one I'll go. I will not go until 1. 15. You can say 15 on the seconds. 15, there is, okay, there's a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, there are 14. So this is the crowd who has at least 75% or more. 14, 15. How much is that? 4, 7, 20, 35, 40, 6, 4, 7, 20, 20, yeah, 46. So there is 46. How many in the class right now? Around 46 out of 100 has 75% or more. At least if you're somewhere around 10 out of 20, you're somewhere there. You're less than 10 out of 20 means you have not studied much. You can do a lot more than what you are currently doing. But that's okay, Lamai. The recording will be there. The past papers are there. YouTube videos are there for the recordings. If you're part of my theory class, those recordings are there. Please make sure this week you're the expert of Unit 1. So do the MCQs and the essay questions also. And then on Sunday, we have a doubt clearing as well. We'll get that. Okay, so shall we take a break? And then we'll come to paper 2. Yes, I'll come into doubts and all at the end of the class. Because otherwise we'll get late. No? We'll take a 10-minute break. It's 8:40 now. I'll go until 10. We'll take a break till 8:50. So you have 10 minutes, walk around, get some water and come. And then we'll go through paper 2. Take a break and come. Okay, right. So we'll get into paper 2. I think we should be able to wrap off in like 45 minutes to 1 hour. Now, paper 2, Lamai, some easy questions. I might not go very in detail because there are proper answers given for you all also at the back of your book. You can refer to that. I'll just tell you the answer structure. I'll show you what and what you need to write and how you can properly figure that out. So we'll start off with question number 1. So there are 3 questions for 60 marks, 20, 20, 20. Question 1 says, all natural resources which are used for production are called non-economic resources. Do you agree? Explain. Do you all agree? All natural resources are non-economic. We touched upon this a little yesterday also. Part 2 questions, I have now, this is like the 4th, 5th time I'm telling you, 1 mark, 1.5 minutes. So roughly around 30 marks, 30 minutes for a 20-mark question. No. So do you agree with this? You don't. So you start off your answer, Lamai, like this. You start off your answer by saying, no, I do not agree. Or you can say, I do not agree. No. Do you agree? You can say no. No. Or you can do not say, I do not agree. And then you need, Lamai, oops, sorry. I'll come into the answer itself and write, that is more easier. Mm, like, so you start off your answer by Lamai. Remember, I told you when they ask you, when they give you a question asking whether you agree or not, you need to start off with that. You need to start off saying, look here, yes, I agree, or no, I don't agree. Yes, that's why I start. See, I say I do not agree. And then Lamai, now your answer doesn't have to be the exact my answer, but I'll just give you how your format needs to be. So you need to talk about these important concepts. Like first, you need to talk about what are natural resources. So here I'm saying natural resources refer to all resources that are gifted by nature. So any resources gifted by nature, those are called natural resources. Now, these natural resources could either be economic resources or non-economic resources. You see, resources such as rivers, forestry, coal, they are considered as land and they are limited. Those are what we call economic resources under land. And then I'm saying, look here, this makes these resources economic. However, some resources such as air, sunlight, rainwater, they are unlimited in supply. Those ones we can consider as non-economic. So all natural resources are not non-economic. Some natural resources are limited. They are economic. I've given some examples like coal, forest, rivers, those. But there are some resources that are unlimited and things like air, rainwater, and they are non-economic. So you don't have to have the exact words that I am using. But these points have to be there in your answer. Saying that, look here, natural resources, some of these are economic, some of them are limited in supply, some of them are non-economic, some of them are unlimited in. You can go a little bit more detail than what I have written as. Then coming into question 2 also, again, I put this, it's a very easy question, but just to see whether you trick yourself. I'm asking you, list the main characteristics of economic systems, which follows planned mechanism, comma, price mechanism. So I am not asking Namai. I am not asking for the characteristics of a mixed economy. You have to get that into your head. I am not asking you give the characteristics of an economic system that is following planned and price gain economy. I'm asking here, I've used the word S here, rural, list the characteristics of economic systems which follow planned and price. So who follows price? Market economy. Who follows plan? That's a command economy. And then I'm writing the characteristics. See, very easy. And here the question verb is what? Question verb is list. So when we say list, you don't have to explain. You don't have to write paragraphs. You can write point form. Now don't separate it like this and that. I have done this thing for me to save space when printing. You can write it one under the other. And ideally, now 4 marks. So you all know they are going to give you 2 marks for characteristics of a market economy, 2 marks for the characteristics of a command economy. So do you write 2 points or do you write 4 points? Safer write 4, because if they give you half a mark per point, then you get half, you get your 4 points. So you all know the characteristics: market economy, private ownership, freedom of choice, competitive market, incentive based or self-interest. You can talk. Okay. Then planning mechanism that is used in a planned or a command economy. And these are the categories. It doesn't have to be only this. Anything that is in the tute, anything that is correct, you will get your marks. With 1 point can be explained both. If you have clearly explained it, it's fine. You clearly say, look here, market economy uses this, these people use this. But since they are saying list Lamai, write in point form. Don't try to put it into a paragraph and do that. Because if your question verb in your paper, remember, if your question verb says list, if your question verb says state, if your question verb says mention, and for those kind of things, you can write points. And sometimes even question verbs like what, this also you can write points. If the question verbs are like list, now what, sometimes you might have to explain, but sometimes even something like what, you can write point forms. So if the question verb is state, mention, list, write answers in point. Always remember before writing, make sure that this thing is done. Equality in income distribution and macroeconomic equality. Equality, yes. For this, how many points? 4 points. After explaining graphical kind of, yeah, no problem. The order of this is okay, but as long as you've covered your main points, you're fine. Okay, coming into 3. Distinguish between capital and social capital. Now, in our very first MCQ in this paper, we talked about something called social overhead capital. Is social overhead capital and social capital the same thing? Is it 2 words for the same thing? So here I am saying distinguish between capital and social capital. So social overhead capital we learned. That was the very first MCQ. I told the capital used to satisfy basic human needs and wants. This drainage system, schools, hospital, that's social overhead. But is that the same as social capital? No, no. Social capital is product different. Yes, now you don't have to write this much in detail, but I have given a product detailed explanation. So when you say, again, one more thing. When your question verb is distinguish, when your question verb is distinguish, how is your answer format? It has to be lamai in paragraph formats. You first talk about the first one and then say, on the other hand, this is this. That's how you show the difference. If your question now, this is in paragraph format, your answer has to be in paragraph. If your question verb is differentiate, in your A-level paper, you don't get so far in the last 10-15 years, there's been very rarely questions saying differentiate. But differentiate, if you want, you can draw like a table. Now, let's say they say differentiate between a market economy and a command economy. Then you can say under market economy uses price mechanism, command economy uses planning. If it is differentiate, if it is distinguish, it either has to be paragraphs like this, or there is another format for that also. When I get another question, I will show that you all there. Distinguish, you don't write points, bringing it into a table. Business studies, I'm not very sure how the format, don't know if it has changed. So I will not comment on that. You can check with your business studies teacher. Okay, right. So here's the distinguish between capital and social capital. Remember, when you get a question like this, they're going to give you half a mark of this, half a mark for this. So if it's a 4-mark question, they're going to give you 2 marks for this, 2 marks for this. If possible, Lama, try to give examples also. Now they have not asked for examples, so there won't be marks. But to make your answer better, if you can, give some example. Don't write fake examples in the end, but don't write lies that will make your answer wrong. But if you know correct, proper examples, give some. You see, I'm saying man-made aids used in the production process are called capital. Being a man-made factor consists of productivity, possibility to improve production again and again, are a few features of capital. So I've written the basic stuff. Right? It doesn't have to be the exact thing, but you say, what is capital? Then what is social capital, Laman? Social capital is a type of capital. That is what? What is social capital? Social capital is Laman, the interrelationships that you build with people. That is what we call social capital. Social capital is not really a tangible thing. Yeah. Social capital is a set of shared values that allows individuals to work together in a group to achieve a common purpose. Now, have you all noticed, Laman? Some of you all, this might be the story for you all, right? Now, individually, you are very good. Right? You know, you're very smart, you can think. But sometimes when you try to work with a group, you're not that good, right? It's very hard for you to, you prefer doing things alone sometimes. It's very hard for you to get things done in a group. It's very hard for you to communicate. No one listens to you. You don't understand what they are doing. Right? There are people like that. I also have friends like that. right? Really skilled and, they know what to do. But when you put in a team setting under fights and all of that. So that is you're lacking social capital. So how do you improve this, Lama? That's why, Lama, in your school and all, you all have these clubs and societies. You all become prefects. These club societies, prefects, sports and all. These are not things that will, now, for example, let's say you're a prefect. You're let's say you're a president or secretary or vice president of some club. Maybe you're a captain of some sport. Those are not going to give you a job, Lama. Just because you put that in a CV, that doesn't mean, just because it's a prefect, they're not going to give a job, never. But when you have those, that means whoever who is hiring you, they know you have worked with people. Now, let's say you are a president of a club or society. That means they know, okay, this person worked with people. Now, I tell you this, right? Now, I work for an econ research firm, right? It's not connected to now in university, right? At the University of Colombo, I was in the management faculty. I was the president of the road track club there. So there was around close to around 400 members during my year. So that means now I was the one heading a team of 400 people. Now, that is not related at all to what I am working. Right now I'm doing a econ research work and I'm teaching that separate. But still, when I was interviewed, they asked me that not because that helps with that, but because they know I have worked with people. And especially with a club that has been with around 400 people and local universities, Lama, you all know, are not people from your same caliber. Now, in your school, Lamai, you all will find people with your same caliber. Now, let's say, if you're someone who is going to a posh international school, all those who can afford that only are in your class. And all those around Colombo, let's say you're in a school in Colombo, people around Colombo will be there. But let's say at a local university, there are people, right? There are the poorest of fellows, the richest of fellows, the poshest of fellows, and maybe the fellows who might sometimes not even know how to speak English. Then there are fellows in Colombo from Jaffna to Gohol to Ambantora to all around. So those kind of skills, not that you will, not that it's something that will make your employers hire you, but those kind of things show your employer that you know how to work with people. That's what you call social capital now. So even in school, right, being a part of, just because you're a president of a club or you're a prefect, that doesn't mean you will get a job. But whoever who is hiring you knows, right, this fellow knows, he has worked with teams, he knows how to coordinate with people, he knows how to, work together as a team. That's essential, because even at work, at any point, you don't work alone, Element. You work with a team. No, there are ideas that come, different people say different things. There can be, tight deadlines. All of that matter. That's what social capital is. See, it's a set of shared values that allows individuals to work together. The term social capital refers to a positive product. Positive means it's a good one of human interaction. The positive outcome may be tangible or intangible, mainly intangible level, and may include useful information, innovative ideas, future opportunities. So good social capital means more new ideas might come if you know how to work with the team. Now, I'll give you a good example I can give you is, now when I was president at uni, and now I would have been in my third, fourth year. Now, there are new students who join the club also, right? First year university students, they come. So then they sometimes, they come and talk, they give some crazy project ideas. And they say, we'll do this, we'll do that. They give ideas. Now, some of those ideas, practically, maybe you can't implement because we've been in the club, we know how things are, maybe you can't. But all of a sudden, let's say I go and say, Mona Pisudamali, you can't do this. How can you do something like this? Don't you have some common sense? I do that. What's going to happen? That guy is going to leave the club. He's going to feel bad. That's going to happen. And then even when you sometimes try to do a project, now 10 people will say 10 different things. One fellow will say, let's do this. One fellow will say, let's do this. So how to properly balance all of that? How to make sure that everyone is valued? Again, something that's very important. Right? Making sure that everyone is valued. So those are things that you have to be building, Lama. You can't be putting people down and, putting them down and hurting. I think that's something that even you all at one point should learn, because at one point you will be a leader. Now, even let's say, maybe you're a prefect, or let's say you're the head prefect. So there are other prefects around you who will come and say, let's do this, let's do that, let's do this. So making sure how you handle your team is very important. Making sure no one feels put down, no one feels, that they are not cared enough of. That's not something that you should be doing. So when you have good social capital, if you're properly motivating your people around, if you're encouraging them, then and there could be good innovative ideas will come, future opportunities can arise, some useful information can be discussed, people will openly come and talk to you, those are things. Then it can be used to describe the contribution to an organization's success that can be attributed personally. It can also be used to describe personal relationships within a company that help build trust and respect among employees. So all of this, now social capital, Lamai, in very simple terms is what? Is the social interrelationships that people have built, how people interact with each other. That's what you call social capital. It's not really a tangible thing, but having good social capital, being able to work with people, being able to motivate people, again, is something very important, because no matter how knowledgeable you are, you might be island first, you might be the fellow who has the best results, you might be the smartest fellow in class. But if you can't work with a team, that's a problem. That's where your sports, your clubs, your prefectship, your whatever that you do out of studying becomes important. Okay. Did that help to improve social relations? Yes, that also is correct. Okay, so maybe if you can give some examples of institutions that help to build social capital, you can give things like clubs and societies. Okay, these religious groups, right? All of those can be some examples. Okay, that's social capital. You don't have to go into this detail, but I've just given a product detail of an answer for you all to learn something. For a question like this, is that enough if we explain 2 points separate? Yeah. So you say for 2 marks, you say this is this, and then in your next paragraph, you should show the difference. You say like this is this, but this is something like this. As long as you're writing something different, you will get your. Okay. Then coming into this, coming a little into the part that we kind of skipped yesterday. Yes, capital is a stock fact. Part 4. Which conditions should be fulfilled to achieve production efficiency? So I'll touch a little bit about this since we skipped it. So you all know, Lamai, there is this thing called economic efficiency. What is economic efficiency? Economic efficiency is where you produce what the society wants at the most optimal level. You produce the desired level of goods and services what society wants also at the maximum sustainable level, without wastage, without any inefficiency, you produce it. So in order to achieve economic efficiency, there are 2 conditions. One is productive efficiency, the other one is allocative efficiency. So here I am in this question, I am not asking about all of it, I'm only asking you about production efficiency. So to achieve production efficiency, what are the conditions? There are 2 conditions. So first of all, Lama, you start with what is production efficiency? Here, production efficiency means achieving the maximum output from all resources of an economy. You can make it more correct, Lama. You can say maximum sustainable output from all your resources. Here then I'm saying 2 main conditions must be fulfilled. What are the 2 conditions? One is full employment. The other one is full production. So you all know what is full employment? To get the maximum sustainable output from all your resources, one thing that you have to do is you have to employ all your resources. Everyone has to be working. All the labor should be working. All the machines should be working. All the land should be occupied. And then you can say full employment. Then what is full production? Full production is where all the employed resources should be contributing to their maximum sustainable level. Now, let's say, Lamai, in a country, let's say there are 100 people in a country. Let's say all 100 people have jobs. Then that means there is full employment. But let's say, Lamai, even though all 100 people have jobs, they are working only like 2-3 hours a day. Have we achieved full production? All 100 are having jobs. They are working. Meaning there is full employment. You have used all 100. But all of these 100 people are working only 2 or 3 hours a day. Are we using them to their potential? Maybe a person can work for like 8-9 hours a day. No? So there is full employment, then there won't be full production. So for you to have production efficiency, one, you have to employ all your resources. You need to have full employment. In addition to having full employment, there needs to also be full production. So let's say, oh, take an institute. Let's say I made my own institute. My own institute do classes. Let's say in my institute do classes. There are 4 classrooms. These are the 4 classrooms. So let's say all of these 4 classrooms, there is a teacher and a class is happening. But then can you say it is full employed? Can you say my institute is fully employed? There are 4 classrooms, all 4 classrooms, all 4 now teachers are there, students are there, they are learning. But let's say even though teachers are there and students are there, in let's say classroom number 1, only let's say 2 students are there. So only the first row is occupied. All the other rows behind are not occupied. Is there full production? Even though the classroom is occupied, classroom is employed, are you making maximum use of that classroom? Maybe in that classroom, you can put, let's say, 20 students. But here you only have 2. So that means there is full employment, but no full production. So for you to have productive efficiency, one is you have to use all the 4 classrooms, and all the 4 classrooms should also be used to its maximum sustainable level. If a classroom can have 20 students, and all 20 has to be there. If a classroom can have 100 students, and 100 people have to be there. So then only you will have full production. So if you have full employment and full production both, then you can have production efficiently. Those are the 2 conditions. So writing that in your words is what I expect them. Is that fine? Question 4. Then coming into question number 5. Question number 5 is saying, draw a production possibility frontier reflecting increasing opportunity cost, and then concave to the origin. For economy producing 2 goods. What are the 2 goods? Computer software and motor vehicle parts. And explain the following situation. Here, this is very important. Now, in my question, I have clearly given you the 2 goods. Now, if you go and put X and Y, wrong. You go and put capital goods, consumer goods, wrong. Because I have told you which goods. I have also told you which axis to put the goods also. If you have switched the axis, then also it's wrong. Huh? So don't give yourself marks if you've done any of that nonsense. So I am saying computer software in horizontal axis here, computer software, and motor vehicle parts in the vertical axis. Now, if the goods are not given, then based on the situation, you can take maybe capital goods, consumer goods, good X, good Y, you can take. But here, if the question has clearly told you what goods and what axis also, if you do it wrong, they are not going to give you marks. Okay. So number 1. Number 1 is saying, see, this is an interesting one. Increase in unemployment in the computer software industry. Now, generally, how do we show unemployment? Generally, we show unemployment by a point inside. If they say increasing unemployment, we can draw an arrow and show moving inside. That's how we show unemployment. But here, see, they are saying there is an increase in unemployment only in the computer software industry. So if there is an increase in unemployment in the computer software industry, it can't affect the amount of motor vehicles you are producing. Balan, earlier, you were producing, let's say, I'll just give an example, 100 motor vehicles, 100 softwares. But now, since there is an increase in unemployment in the software industry, only software should get affected. So if you draw an arrow like this inside, then motor vehicle production also has come down, software also come. That is wrong. So if you draw a general arrow, if you have drawn that, give yourself no marks. Your arrow has to be, see how I have drawn a parallel arrow. See, motor vehicles, we are still producing 100. Softwares, let's say, now has fallen to 50. Why? Because the question has said there is an increase in unemployment in the software industry. If they say unemployment generally, get that into your head properly. If they say increase in unemployment, then draw a line down, both falling, fine. But here they have clearly said increase in unemployment in what? In the software industry. So if it's software industry, motor vehicle can't get affected. So that is why my motor vehicle we are still producing. I'm just giving rough numbers just for you all to understand. Motor vehicle is still 100. But This going here. No, your first point can be in the PPC, on the PPC, inside, that's okay, but your arrow should be towards inside. Where your first point is, doesn't 100% matter. Can we draw a unit wise like 50 units off and increase it to 25, keeping moderate? Yes, you can put unit wise, but you have to have a, you need to have a proper data. Here, computer software slope can point and arrow software can be dot. Yeah, so somehow, Lamai, you need to show your ultimate objective here is to show that, look here, motor vehicle point, motor vehicle doesn't change, but computer software has come down. No, the point doesn't have to be in the middle. You can even start from here, but somehow it has to be a parallel arrow this side. First point, better to show the first point down because they are saying increase element. So you were here, now you're going to here. Better to show the first point. From the point on the PPC, we should move parallel inside. Yes, parallel this side. But try to understand why are we moving parallel inside? Because it's only the computer software getting up. Okay, that's A. Then part B. Part B is saying shift of resources from the motor vehicle parts to computer software. No, you don't have to mark quantities. Okay? So you're moving resources, let's say land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, from the motor vehicle part industry, you're moving into the computer software industry. That means if you move some land, labor, capital from here to here, then computer parts will come down, software will increase. So we are talking about a moving from one point to another point. The arrow has to be clearly on this side. On the PPC, when you move your resources and the motor vehicle parts come down, software increases. No, so here, even though they have not said its productive efficiency, remember assumption on the PPC. When we draw a PPC, we assume resources are fully employed. So you can't show this inside here and here, no. They have not said that you can, no, there won't be a shift here, right? You're taking some resources from here and putting it there. They're saying shift of resources from motor vehicle parts to computer software. So let's say some labor will resource is labor. So you're taking some people from the motor vehicle parts and you're telling them go and make some software. So motor vehicle parts come down, software will increase. So you're moving from point A to B. And also remember, Lamai, you all need to give a small explanation. Just drawing the PPC is also not enough. You're going to get, this is, I think, can you all check 4 marks? Yeah. So half a mark for your diagram, half a mark for a small explanation. Explanation is not hard, Lama. Explanation is same thing what you wrote, you write in words. Yes, an increase in unemployment in the computer software industry will result in a point movement inside only. Point movement inside only resulting in a fall in the output of the computer software industry. And here also is a shift of resources from motor vehicle parts to computer software will cause a decrease in output from motor vehicles and an increase in output in the computer software. So what we are writing the same thing. There needs to be a small one-line explanation. Always remember when you're writing a PPC, even if they have not told you to give an explanation, best to give a small one-line explanation what you have drawn. Okay. Then part C, increase in the productivity of the motor vehicle part industry. That is easy to learn. So maybe some new technology has come or something has happened. In the motor vehicle part industry, productivity is improving. But only PPC will shift it if your resources factor endowment or your factor productivity changes. So your productivity is improving, but not for both, only for the motor vehicle testing. Okay? So that's why I'm shifting motor vehicle parts upwards. See, as a result of an increase in productivity of motor vehicle parts, industry PPC will shift outwards only for that industry. Very basic explanation. Half a mark for that. Last one, something like COVID-19 leading to an economic depression. What happens? A depression is a long-term recession. When resources have been unemployed for a long time, they start getting destroyed. And so what happens? Now, PPC will shift. Those are the things. How many of you got all 4 of this correct? In part A, point inside the curve should be drawn parallel. If you draw Just a point downwards, no marks, because it's only affecting the computer software industry. To be drawn parallel to the left. No, so you can, your arrow and your point has to be parallel, showing that motor vehicle parts hasn't got affected. It's the software that has got affected. We have properly shown that it's fine. It's got all four correct. Okay. When you're doing some questions in the past papers also, there will be ones. Okay, try. Okay, good. Then we'll get into question number 2. Question number 2 comes into, now we will go a little bit fast because otherwise I can't finish this in 3 hours, right? I'm hoping you all completely understand that. Even in when we are recapping the theory also, yesterday also I was fast. That's why the whole that's why it's called fast track, not a theory class or revision class, because we need to finish it fast in 3 hours. And I think that's a good summary for you all also. When you all read the theory note and come, you read the fast track note and come in 3 hours. If you can summarize the unit 10, I think that's a lot on your end. On my end, it's a little difficult to put all in 3 hours, especially unit 1, 2 of shape. When units get harder and harder, my job gets tougher and tougher. Now, something like unit number 7, usually things like credit creation, I take an extra class because summarizing something like unit number 7 and those kind of things in 3 hours is not easy. So some units I might take a few extra sessions here and there, but most of the sessions I should be able to cover up in 3 hours. Grade 12 units, 3 hours I should finish all. Okay. Does labor force and human capital refer to the same concept? Explain your answer. So is labor force means your total labor in your country, and human capital, do they refer to the same concept? Explain. You save it, start with no. Labor force and human capital are not the same. So here's 11. For 2 marks, I talk about labor force. For 2 marks, I talk about human capital. Look at the answer structure. You are not giving tables and distinguishing. So I am saying labor force or the currently active population comprises of what? All persons who fulfill the requirements for inclusion among employed or the unemployed. Now, this line, we labor force, we put up learning unit number 11 and 12. The ones who were there in my theory and revision class, you might remember a little. What is labor force? Labor force is the total population of a country who are willing and able to work. That's what you call the labor force. Some of them have jobs, employed. Some of them, even though they are willing and able to work, no jobs. They are unemployed. Okay? The employed are defined as the people who work, and then the unemployed are the ones who are seeking for work. They're looking for a work but don't have a job. Yeah, that is labor force. So in very basic context, what is labor force? Labor force is the part of the population who are willing and able to work. Some of these people are employed. Some of them are, yes, already working. Some of them are looking to work. They are unemployed. Okay, that's labor force. Then what is human capital now? Human capital is the knowledge, the skills that this labor force has. Now, sometimes now, if you take, let's say, take a country like India. India might have a huge labor force because their population is high, labor force is also very high. But even though their population is high, labor force is high, sometimes their human capital can be very low. Because but now it's very good. But let's say 20 years ago, human capital would have been low, right? Even though there's so much of population, those fellows don't have skills, no proper education, right? Poverty. In the, no skills, no knowledge, no experience, nothing. So human capital is here, is the skills of the labor force that consist of their education, the training, any research experiences, even favorable health. Yes. Now, just take during COVID, even though Sri Lanka had, yes, labor force kind of same. Okay. Labor is one, labor force is all the labor put together. Now, if you take during COVID, let's say all of the people Lamai had COVID, even though you had in Sri Lanka, let's say we have 10 million in our labor force. Can anyone actively go and work? So even though labor force is there, human capital, no one can apply their skills and do anything. The health also matters, which helps to improve productivity of laborers and profits. But these factors affect the size of the labor force. So in basic context, what is human capital? Human capital is the knowledge, the skills, the experience, the favorable health that people have. Now, even remember, why are you coming to this class? Why are you doing A levels? You're doing A levels to improve your human capital. Yes, specialization also can be a part of human capital. Your productivity is done. Then question two. Question two is saying the decisions of resource allocation differ from different economic systems. Explain the validity of this statement using market and command. Now, here, Lama, you need to understand this. I am talking about decision of resource allocation. What question are we talking about? Is it what to produce, how to produce, whom to produce? Is it all three of it? Or is it just one of it? Understanding that part is important. Otherwise, you go and write nonsense. I'm asking you, decisions of resource allocation differ from economic systems. I'm talking about what to produce here. No, that is the resource allocation thing. So that I'm asking you in very simple terms. Why I'm asking you, explain how market economy answers what to produce, how a command economy answers what to produce. Now, this is what your examiner does. This same question can be asked in a simple way. Remember, I told you, whatever you get in your A-level paper, 90% are already there. Past papers, in these papers, it's there. Because there is nothing new. What is a market economy? 20 years ago, also the definition is the same. Now, all the definition is the same. So, if you do the past papers, you already realize same thing comes. But examine twist the question. Even though the answer is the same, the question is different. So, you need to be smart enough to figure that out. This question can be easily asked. How? Explain how a market and a command economy answers the what to produce question. But instead of saying what to produce, I have said decision of resource allocation. And then I have given a small statement saying it differs from every economy. Explain this validity, use some big words. Even though these big words are put, Lama, you all need to understand. Question is a very simple thing. So then how do you answer? This we know, we learned. So how does a market economy answer what to produce? A market economy, they look at the price signals in the product market. They see which goods are the most profitable based on price mechanism. They look at what goods are the most profitable and they produce those. Then how does a command economy answer what to produce? The command economy, they have the central planning authority who makes plans and commands. Central planning authority will do like an input-output analysis. They will see, okay, these are the resources we have. This is what we can do with this. And then they will see what are the goods that will give the greatest social welfare, and under they will go and produce those. So for 2 marks, you talk about this. For 2 marks, you talk about this. Very simple. Then the next one. Again, an easy one. Mention the basic economic problems. Mention. Do you have to explain? You write points. Yeah. What to produce in what quantity, how to produce, whom to produce. You get 2 marks there. And then, why are these problems common to all economies? And why are they common to all economies? See, these are the basic economic problems due to scarcity, due to scarcity of resources and alternative uses. Any economy would face this, whether you are a market economy, command economy, developed economy, poor economy, Asian economy, European economy, doesn't matter who you are. All of you all will face this problem. Why? Because of scarcity and alternative uses. Because resources are scarce. We have unlimited bonds, our resources are limited. That gives rise to scarcity. Because of scarcity, we have decided what to produce. We can't produce anything. No? We have decided how to produce because we only have limited land, capital, and all of that. We have decided how. And then we have decided, okay, how are we going to distribute this? Because of scarce. So therefore, these choices are common to every society. Okay. Right. That is 3. Then coming into question 4. Question 4 says, different incentive forms can be seen in each economic system. Explain using examples. Remember, we learned about incentives, material incentives, cohesive incentives, moral incentives, and to explain those. So here I am saying, Material incentives, moral incentives, and coercive incentives are the different forms of incentives that is there. So the small intro line. I'm giving a small intro line. Then I'm going into material. First one. Material incentives, I'm saying, are dominant in a market economy, along with profit, which acts as an incentive. Here, the producer's main motive would be to maximize the profit. So, what is material incentive? You do something for your benefit. No? So, in a market economy, producers will try to maximize their profit. That is their incentive. Then, consumers would seek to maximize their satisfaction. Now, for example, when you're choosing an economics class, you see which economic class is going to provide the highest value for me. No? Now, I'm not saying I'm the only econ teacher. There are maybe 20, 30 econ teachers out there. So you all have decided that, okay, you're going to come to my class means what? Because you feel that, okay, this fellow's class only, I'm getting higher satisfaction. Some other students would have thought, okay, I'm getting higher satisfaction in another class. So you all, those fellows go for that. So you all are not, no one is coming here for this class because Sir Paunen, if I don't come, his income will go down. No, not nice. No, sir, he's my good friend. You're all not coming for that, right? All of you all are coming for this class because you're going to maximize your satisfaction. You're going to say, okay, who is going to help me pass my exam? That's consumer. Consumer also looks at his benefit. And I am also doing this class, Lamai, not because you're power or anything. I am doing this class because I want to earn some income. I want to keep my family running. I need to live. So I try to maximize my profit. You try to maximize your satisfaction. That is material incentive. I am not doing this class as a social service. You're not coming and learning here because I am power. You're learning to pass your exam. I'm doing this to earn some money and live. That's material incentive. You're doing something for your self-benefit. Common in a market economy. Then what is cohesive incentives? Cohesive incentives is where you're doing something because it's seen in a command economy. You're doing something is because you're forced to do it. Now, if you're coming to this class not to learn, no, pass the exam, but if you're coming to this class, maybe now some of your this also happen. Now, this cohesive incentive sometimes is seen in physical classes, right? Especially boys. This girl goes to the class, so now the boy also is forced to come to class because that is where they can meet. Happens in a cohesive incentive. Girl says, you all somehow come to my class. I remember during O levels also, it was very common. Right? Somehow, one of the couple, sometimes there are people. The boy is sometimes in other stream, but he also still comes to his class. Why? His girlfriend has forced him to come. So that is cohesive incentive. He's not coming to pass the exam or learn. He's coming because his girlfriend has forced him to come. That's cohesive incentives. For example, a command economy. Consumers are forced to purchase whatever goods produced by the government and thus limiting the freedom of choice. And then finally, you have what? Moral incentives. Moral incentives, I told you, you can't figure out what, you can't figure out a exact this thing. So he said, moral incentives, yes, based on beliefs and customs, you can write that as well, based on beliefs and your customs. And also I'm saying here, moral incentives operate in a situation of natural disasters or collapse of a government, and it's based on your beliefs and customs. You can expand this answer. I have given a very basic one. Based on your, not just natural disasters, based on your belief. Remember, I gave you an example yesterday. You're going in a bus. Why do you stand up and give the seat? You don't stand up and give a seat because you're getting something, no material incentive. You're not standing up and giving a seat because someone forced you to give a seat. You're standing and giving a seat because you feel that that is the right thing to do, and you're getting that. And then now during, let's say, a time of natural disaster, I think sometimes in school, you all would have done, no? During floods, don't you all collect dry rations and all, right? You all go from the prefects and all, they come from class to class and collect biscuit packet and sugar and milk powder and all of it. Then you all go and donate. Why do you all do that? That is is someone forcing you to do that? Are you going to get anything by doing that? That's your moral incentive. And even this time, for example, you can even say, now collapse of government, I'll give you a good example of the whole Aragalaya thing. Now, in terms of the Aragalaya, you all remember when there was power cuts and people were protesting at Galle Face. Were people doing that because they might get a benefit out of it? Not really. Sometimes, now you all would have seen during this Aragalaya time, people were helping out for different things. Now, sometimes, if you are going towards the Aragalaya, no vehicles, no, someone will give you a lift to go there. All of that was there. Moral incentives. Moral incentives can be commonly seen in all economic systems. So you don't put an economic system labeled to that. That's that. Okay. Then am I coming into, okay, that's 4. Yes, university students also strike. University students strike now. Some of them are forced to do it, right? At Colombo, usually we don't have much strikes, but at Colombo, I think we are not. Colombo is not a part of the whole Antare thing, so we don't protest to for Aragale. This thing we were doing some stuff, but in general for these other stuff, Colombo Uni doesn't go on protest, and all the other unis go. Kalaniya, Japura, all of them go. Some of it is not moral. Some of the small students, they are forced to. Usually, sometimes in Japura, Kalani, and all. Now, sometimes first years and all, you get ranked. So then, what happens is, if there is like a protest or strike happening, you're forced. You have to be there. There is no choice. You also have to carry a board and do something and sounds out and go. So that happens. Then that's not moral. Then that becomes coercive. Right. 5. Explain how. Now, this was a question that even came up in a recent paper. How an economy could grow faster by sacrificing their current consumption. So how can an economy grow faster by sacrificing their current consumption? So you need to explain, Lamai, how. Now, this question can be asked in different ways. Now, if an economy is having very high levels of current consumption, you all know, they will have to sacrifice the production of capital goods. So capital goods are the goods used to produce other goods like machines, buildings. So more and more capital goods you produce, your economy will grow in the future. If you produce more and more machines, in 5 years, those machines also will produce more goods. But if you're not sacrificing your current consumption, your future growth will be comparatively less. But if you sacrifice your current, if you sacrifice your current consumer goods, your present living standard, and if you can produce more and more capital goods, in the future, your PPC will grow. So I have given this standard answer, copied and pasted from my dude. You don't have to write this exact thing, but you need to explain that, Lama. You need to draw both the diagram. Now go and see your recent A-level paper. I don't know if you have the original marking scheme. I think it was in the 20. I have the marking scheme here. Yeah, this is the 2023 A-level marking scheme. Okay, the original one with the examiner's comments on it. So if you look at this marking scheme, it's the first question, last subpart. First question, last subpart. The question is saying, an economist's present choice of the position on its production possibility curve is a major factor in determining the economic growth. Explain this answer using diagrams. It's the exact thing they're asking. So if your present point is at this point, producing more consumer goods and the future growth is low. But if your present point is at a point where you're producing a lot of capital goods, your future growth can be high. I'll try to get pictures of this and I'll share because I don't have a PDF of this. It's a 50-page document. When I'm free, I'll get some pictures of it and I'll make a PDF and I'll share. Okay. So that's how that goes. Is this part okay, Lama? Can I skip it at that point since we talked about it yesterday? Economics, okay, you all can figure that out. Now, if you have more capital, you will grow more. Okay. Then coming into the last question. Last question, question number 3. Question number 3, part 1. What is meant by goods? Explain the different types of goods. So you start your answer by talking in a very simple one. So anything that provides positive satisfaction or utility, we call it a good. There are 2 types of goods: economic, non-economic. So what are economic goods? Economic goods are the goods that we say. Now, this having a price is not an essential condition. Even if you don't write it, it's okay. Economic goods generally have a price, but remember I told you, economic goods can be this as well. No, goods are not divided as bads. Goods are anything that provides positive satisfaction. A bad is something that gives negative satisfaction. No, you don't classify it as capital, consumer, material, right? So broadly, you classify this as economic and non-economic. Economic, non-economic. Remember in the tutorial also we have that. Okay. So what are economic goods? Goods that are limited in supply compared to human wants. And then these goods They require the use of scarce resources. You can talk about Lamai, there is an opportunity cost in production. There is, I would have not written that. Can you add that to your answer? There is an opportunity cost in producing this. And also you can say, there is a resource cost. Then what are non-economic goods? Non-economic goods are called free goods. These are what? These are gifts of nature. They are unlimited in supply. Examples like air, rainwater. No opportunity cost. No, we don't include bads. No, economic bads is not a type of good. Economic good is anything that provides positive satisfaction. Bad is the opposite of that. So don't write about economic bads in this. You can include consumer and capital goods, but maybe under economic goods, you can talk about consumer and capital goods. That can't be your main one. Your main distinguishing factor between goods are economic goods, the ones that are limited in supply, and non-economic goods, the ones that are unlimited in supply. That's how you break it down. And also, Lamai, for those who have knocked down the paper, you all will get your book. Most of you have got your book. Please write time. Maybe even if you're a little weak, at least look at the tute and write the answer. Even if you can't look at the tute and figure out the answer, at least look at the back of my textbook. All right. And at the back of the book, the answers are there, and these answers are there. Read that and write in your own words. You have to write. Don't leave the paper blank. Right? That's why there is space left also in your tute. You need to complete that book. And trust me, Lama, if you can complete that book within that month, that's a lot of knowledge going into your head. That's a whole 150-page book, no? So the questions, the papers, all of it, make sure you complete it. And then every month you're going to get a book like that. No? Little by little you get. Another is that. Is a non-priced goods. So non-economic goods don't have a price. Then going into question 2. This one, Lamai, there is nothing much to write in this, but I'm asking you, why isn't money considered as capital in economics? Explain. So why isn't money considered as capital? You can start off your answer. If you want to expand your answer, Lama, you can start off your answer by giving a definition for capital. I have not done that. You can do that. You can say capital in economics is any man-made aid or a man-made resource that will aid in the production process, that will help convert input into output. It's a productive resource. Then you can say money is not considered as capital because money is not a productive resource. What does productive resource mean? Productive resource means it has to help convert inputs into outputs, but money doesn't do that, no? So while money can be used to buy capital, it is the capital good that is used to produce goods and services. Money merely does what? Money merely facilitates trade. Money helps you to buy the capital. Money will help you to sell goods and buy goods, but money won't help you to produce goods. That's why money is not capital in economics. But it is not itself a productive resource. Thereby, money is not considered as capital, but simply a medium of exchange. So you need to clearly state that. You need to say in economics, capital is a man-made resource that will aid in the production process, that will help convert inputs into outputs. Money doesn't help convert input to output. Money will help you to buy capital. It's the machine that will convert the input. It's the raw materials that will convert inputs, not the money. Okay, that's what you need to explain in your own words. Then, then coming into third one. The third one is asking, explain why increasing opportunity cost is more realistic than constant opportunity cost. Now, this same thing, Lamai, they can all the same question to get the same answer. They can ask you what are the reasons for increasing opportunity cost. So instead of asking what are the reasons for increasing opportunity cost, I am asking why is increasing opportunity cost more realistic? Why is it more realistic, Lamai? Because number one, the resources between two industries are usually non-homogeneous. No? The resources between one industry and another industry, they are not the same. You will not have homogeneous, you will not have the same resources in the car industry and the mobile phone industry. So resources are non-homogeneous. Then resources productive in one industry might not be productive in another. I might be good at teaching, but if you put me in a bakery to make bread, I don't know. So I might not be productive though. So therefore that, yes, non-homogeneous, heterogeneous, same. And then technology can be different. So because of all of this, maybe you can start off with a small definition of what is increasing and what is constant. That's fine, no problem. As an introduction to your answer, you can do that. But your main content has to come from this number. Why is it more realistic? Is because of these reasons. Because the two industries usually that you look at will have non-homogeneous resources. Resources efficient in one might not be efficient in another. There could be technological differences. That's why this is more realistic. Okay. You don't have to talk about constant much. You remember, Lamai, even though I have given an answer here, this is not the only answer you can write. This is just a suggested answer that will give you the marks. So don't feel bad if you have written conduct extra, given something else, that's okay, all right. But as long as this main message is conveyed, it's fine. Yes, you can't memorize my answer and go and write in the paper. You need to come up with your answer. So if it's somewhat in this structure, we are okay. And don't worry, right now you might be a little bit difficult to write, but the more and more and more and more we write, you get better. No, first and second is not the same number. So resources are non-homogeneous and resources productive with one industry and not productive in another. That's two different things. Now, for example, I can work in the tuition class industry. I can work in a bakery. The resource is the same, homogeneous resource. I'm the labor, but I might be productive in this, might be not productive in the other. For example, let's say my laptop, I can use to do classes also. I can use it, let's say in a bakery, but in a bakery, my laptop might not make much sense. Right. Last two questions. Then another this. Someone asked me this question yesterday. I told you I'll come to this when we come to the paper. So what is this? They're saying, explain the interrelationship between capital, investment, and savings. This was there in a past paper also. So what is the connection between capital, investment, and savings? So I'll just roughly go through the story. What are savings? Savings is whatever money that you have after you consume, after you spend on consumption, whatever you have in excess is what you call savings. Savings in an economy can be in different forms. There can be household savings. There can be business savings. There can also be government savings. Different people will save. Your father gets salary. From his salary, he might save some money. Firms, when they make a profit, all of it they don't give as dividends. Some of that they will retain. That's business savings. Government, they might earn income, they'll spend less, then you have government savings. So all of these savings, where do they go into usually? Where do they go into? Where do people save money? Where do businesses keep their retained profits? This goes into the financial sector, goes into banks. So what does the financial sector do with this savings money? When people come and save and put fixed deposits and put all their money in banks, what does the financial sector do? Financial sector, they might directly invest also, yes, but mostly what do? They provide loans. They provide loans for what purpose? They mainly provide loans for investment purposes. So usually, if you want to expand a factory, you take a bank loan. If you want to make new branches, you want to buy a new machine, you want to lease some new equipment. So more and more loans for what? Investment purpose. So when the savings in an economy increases, now there is more loanable funds that can be given out for investment. So when there is more and more investments, if people are building factories, start getting new machines, then what's happening to the amount of capital in your country? What's happening to the amount of capital in your country? That also will start to increase. That's the relationship that is there. So if there is more and more savings in a country, that will be channeled into the financial institutions, which means more and more loans are given for investment purposes under more capital. That is the relationship between the three. So if savings come down, others will also then come down. So you need to explain that. That is what I'm asking in question number 4. And then question number 5. This one, Lamai, I put it. This can be very relevant for your year. Remember in unit number 11 and 12, when I told you all, Sri Lanka experienced negative economic growth in 4 out of the last 5 years. In 2019, 2020, 2022, and 2023. In all of these years, Lamai, Sri Lanka's GDP contracted. 2020, 2022, even last year, 2023, we learned the values and all in the class. Sri Lanka had negative economic growth. That means our GDP was less compared to the previous year. It was a minus value. On the GDP, economic growth was a minus value. So they can ask you what this is. They can connect that now because your examiner, my product, they don't have much to ask me. Now, you all would have seen during the COVID year, under Tagal, they put a COVID question. Now, during the crisis, there was electricity, power cuts and all, under they put a question like that in the BPs. So whatever now, unit number 1, introduction to economics, is nothing new to ask me. So whenever the examiner gets a chance, whenever there is some current thing happening, this is not the only current thing, we'll talk about more later. If there is any current thing happening, he will try his level best to put a new question from that. He will try to make it in a video. Otherwise, same thing from past papers, nothing else to ask. So I feel a question like this can come on negative economic. They can ask you what is negative economic growth and show this on a PPs. So what is negative economic growth? Negative economic growth is where the real output of a country is coming down. Or in other words, GDP is decreasing. That's what we call negative economic growth. Or you can also say the potential output of a country is coming down. Then how do you show this on a PPC? If now you all know my economic growth, how do you show outward shift of the PPC? I thought negative economic growth is an inward shift of the PPC. Negative economic growth can lead to a contraction or an inward shift of the PPC. And then you show that. And so product might be a little bit mindful of what's happening around also. Going forward, when we start our prospect class, I'll also be sharing different stuff on the groups, like current things that is happening around. So product be aware. They can try their level best to connect. And again, I'm repeating the unit number 1 question. Examiner will try his level best to make it a little tough. He will try his level best to make it tough because everyone is doing the unit 1 question. I told this to you all yesterday. Scoring maybe 17 out of 20 is easy, but scoring 20 out of 20 for that unit 1 question is a little tough. Recent years, you all would have seen some new things the examiner starts to put. So product, be aware of that and get that done. Right. That is it with the paper. Can you all make sure this is done, Lamai? Now today is Wednesday. Tomorrow is Thursday. According to your study plan, you know what to do. Tomorrow, please make sure you do the past paper MCQ. This will take around 2 hours, maximum 3 hours. How do you do it? Again, please don't do all 50, 60 MCQs at once. Do a few of it, right? You do the 2011 MCQs, see where you went wrong, refer the tune, mark it, learn from it, move 2012. So do that, and maybe by if you do that by the end of tomorrow, let me know how did you do. Let me know if you if your unit 1 MCQs got better and if you feel more confident compared to where you started in 2011 and where you will be ending in, let's say, 2020, 21, 22, 23. See whether you get better at it. Try and just let me know. Maybe by tomorrow night. I guess that's around 2 hours there. Rest of the time, allocate for the other subjects. And then out of the total MCQs, I'll send you all the unit 1 PDF as well. So you can do the MCQs tomorrow, essay questions on Friday and Saturday. So 2 hours a day, 2 hours, 1.5 hours a day is what you allocate. And then on Sunday, Lamai, also now this week is entire unit 1. Go through everything that is there. right? Any past paper, anything you have. And on Sunday morning, come back and clear all the doubts you have from unit 1. The easy ones, hard ones, whatever. Go and clear. I don't have the answers of the past papers type line. You can refer your past paper book that has the answers. Okay. And then get that sorted. So that is it for today. Our next live class is on Sunday, but that doesn't mean you don't do anything. Make sure your Thursday, Friday, Saturday goal is met. And Sunday come, clear all the doubts you have from unit number 1. And by this week, you need to master that 28 to 30 marks that you get from the unit. 2023, I'll send you the answers. So see you and have a nice day. If anyone has any other questions, do stay and clarify even right now. See you. Bye-bye.